and probably the Renaissance. It's the most baffling thing. No, it's Araby. St. Bernard Parish. Like, it's baffling. You had 17 tornadoes touch down in Texas, and then it crossed the state line, and nothing. And then you had one in St. Bernard and one in St. Tammany. Um, that you didn't get hurt or killed? That more people weren't hurt or killed? That no. This is you'll find in this business that it is an ongoing issue. People get mad when they don't lose their roof. Yeah, he kept pushing back and kept pushing back. 2 1-hour ones. We went at noon and then we went again at 3. We were gonna go from noon to 2 was the original plan, but I'm like, there ain't shit happening. I'm not just gonna talk for the sake of talking, because when you allow Kevin Ford to talk for the sake of talking, you end up running into all kinds of over the top political takes. Oh yeah. You will during hurricane season. Yeah, I swear by him on hurricane coverage. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Oh snap. Okay, is my mic on? Okay. Spell. Yeah. Okay. You sure it's on? Okay. It says live stream offline. Uh oh. What's the case? The NBA murder. Okay. It also says severe weather coverage 322. The one that's live. Oh, the one that says live stream offline. Is that gone now? Okay. There it is. Oh, we're on. .606 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane. Off and running. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. We got a busy show for you today. I'll give you the rundown in just a second. Got to start off, though, by kind of recap. You know what? No, we'll do the rundown first, then recap where we were yesterday. Legally served. Attorney Franz Borghardt is in for legally served. That's coming your way in about 20 minutes from right now. Franz and I will be talking about Pastor Spell is back in the news again. Surprise, surprise. Got a number of other things to talk about. He's going to be back on Court TV tomorrow night. We might preview a little bit of that, a little sneak preview of what's going to be on Court TV with legal expert Franz Borghardt. 625. In the 7 o'clock hour, it's been a minute since we've reached out to the folks over at R Street, and I stumbled across a column that definitely piqued my interest. R Street, by the way, free market think tank, right, out of Washington, D.C. They are not to the right. They are not to the left. They are all about the free market. Column reads, the Defense Production Act is not a get-out-of-jail-free card for bad energy policy. Let's talk energy policy. Philip Rosetti is the senior fellow for energy over at R Street. I mean the lead sentence. I love this. When all you have is a hammer, everything seems like a nail. Yep. We'll dive in. Don't sweat it. 7:15. No Congressman Graves today, but we are going to talk a little bit about money coming down from Congress or from the federal government to help out with hurricane aid. In our 8 o'clock hour, let's get caught up on the legislative session. State Representative Paula Davis slated to join us at 8:15. And then we'll wrap things up on the guest list with Mary Fine from the American Heart Association, talking about the upcoming Heart Walk. There's your guest list, plus top stories and trending, outside in, this day in history. You know how we do. But no, let's start off with a little recap of yesterday. That didn't pan out the way we thought it was going to pan out in Baton Rouge. It did in New Orleans, though. Waking up this morning, very, very thankful. Waking up this morning saying, oh, what could have been. We were slated for some nasty weather yesterday, and it rained. It rained, but it was one of those, oh, whoopity-doo rains. It was one of those, oh, you called off school for this rains. We did extended coverage. Kevin Ford and I were in here at noon yesterday, then back again at 3 to walk it up to the Jay Cody show, and then thunderstorm at 4. And then by about 5:30, I went home after doing a segment with Jay. I got home by 5. Rain was done. 5:30, sun was out. Like all that warning and precursor and everything, and the sun was out. I film my little preview video for Twitter every day, and yeah, I was super backlit by the sun. I mean, it was nice out. But the storm that rolled through yesterday, we got incredibly lucky. 17 tornadoes touched down in Texas. 1 person died in Texas. 2 more tornadoes touched down in Louisiana. 1 in St. Bernard Parish and the other in St. Tammany Parish. A person died in St. Bernard Parish as a result of the storm. You heard the story from Dave Cohen over at WWL. Well, you heard it from CBS News. Dave Cohen's with WWL down in New Orleans. I mean, we had a lot of preparation going to yesterday here in Baton Rouge. Everybody was at the ready. A lot of people went home after a half day of work or a half day of school. Noon turned into afternoon drive, basically. The streets of Baton Rouge were clogged up at noon. Thank God that didn't hit earlier, or everybody would have been on the road. It was a weird storm in that, I mean, it was a cool front. It's nice out right now. It's actually cold out right now. It was a weird storm to see that big a gap between damage. 17 tornadoes in Texas. Nothing in Lake Charles, Fort Polk. Nothing in Lafayette. Nothing in Alexandria. Nothing in Baton Rouge. And all of a sudden, boom, You get to St. Bernard and East St. Tammany, for that matter, not even West St. Tammany, but all the way in Slidell. Like, it covered that large a path before doing serious damage again. By the way, that's it for weather for quite a while. We have got until at least next week before we see any chance of rain. This is going to be gorgeous, and I mean downright gorgeous, for the next 4 or 5 days. Speaking of the damage down in New Orleans, the Baton Rouge Fire Department, their public information office, Justin Hill put this out there. He says around 30 members of the Louisiana USAR Task Force 2, firefighters from Baton Rouge, Zachary, Central, and West Feliciana are on their way to assist those impacted by the storms in New Orleans. They will be assisting local agencies with search and rescue efforts. If you haven't seen the footage yet of the tornado in St. Bernard Parish, I mean, it is like every bit from the movie Twister. It is big. It is ominous. It is hauling. I should say it was big. It was ominous. It's long since over with. But, yeah, yesterday we proved to be very, very lucky. No doubt about it. All right, we got a lot of show to get to here. We're going to get to sports. One of the things that went down yesterday was postponements of games. Baseball's going to go at it tonight. Softball's going to go at it tonight. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Before we take our break, though, got to tell you about the folks over at Complete Collision Center. They've got 2 locations. One's on Plank Road in Zachary. One is on Perkins, just east of Bluebonnet here in Baton Rouge. Honestly, your tow truck driver is going to know the location. If you need Complete Collision Center, you've likely been in an accident. If you've been in an accident, the likelihood that your car is drivable is a little bit lower. I tell you every day about their iCar Gold Class certification, though, and there's a reason for it. Complete Collision Center is among the 15% of collision repair businesses that hold the Gold Class designation from iCar. It means they meet the industry's highest standard for training. They're trained on the latest repair techniques. They know what can be repaired and what needs to be replaced, and that difference is all the difference when it comes to your family's safety. They also know how to spot hidden damage. Trained on advanced safety systems, they know how to make the proper decisions for your complete and safe repairs. They train on the safety. They have this level of safety training because that's what they value. They value your family's safety. Check them out online at CompleteCollision.com. Give them a call if you need them, 768-9898, 768-9898. Don't let who you choose to repair your vehicle be your second accident. Check out Complete Collision at CompleteCollision.com. That was yesterday. Get out of it, close it out, and reopen it. Because... Oh, wait a minute. No. Dude, yeah, it's jacked up. It says we're offline again.
But when you go to the app, it's not.
No, I appreciate the heads up because I thought it was... I'm showing... Yeah, I've got... I don't have a picture. I've just got my logo. And it says live stream offline. All right, and none of the comments are timestamped. That's weird. Morning, Eric. Morning, Renee. Morning, everyone else who's... I don't know.
So this is where I go to.
My page?
That is the live stream that I clicked on the link that is not live.
Your chat's working, but this is what's going. This is
Yeah, that's what I've got too.
Wbrz traffic update from Ashley Fouché.
Currently, no crashes
What? But
That's YouTube, though, right?
right.
It's not you.
I don't think so. I don't know. We did 4 different shows yesterday on YouTube, and
There's a lot.
I don't know if it's all jacked up because of that or what.
I got it up. I disconnected from the Wi-Fi.
You,
On my phone.
you disconnected from the Wi-Fi, and that got it up?
Yeah, on my phone.
All right, YouTube, let us know what you're seeing, YouTube. Somebody comment real quick so I can... What does our Wi-Fi have to do with it?
Yeah, I opened it with the Wi-Fi on live stream offline.
So our Wi-Fi's jacked up?
I don't know. I get off Wi-Fi.
Everything's going to be difficult for me. No, it's still telling me.
Oh, now it's me.
Yeah, I'm still offline. Screw it. I'll hop back on Wi-Fi.
John Williamson says go slim.
Darn right, John. 616 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Going to get you to legally serve with attorney Franz Borghardt in just a little bit. But we got a little makeup to talk about, and that is everything that was postponed because of yesterday's inclement weather. Let's start off with baseball. They'll be at it 6:30 p.m. tonight in the box. La Tech rolling into Baton Rouge. La Tech, of course, LSU has already lost to La Tech. They went up to Ruston earlier this season, and the Bulldogs pulled one out in their home stadium. Packed house up there in La Tech. LSU and the Bulldogs will be going at it at 6:30 on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Pre-game will begin at 6. Chris Blair will be on the call there. Over at Tiger Park, and I got to make sure I've got the start time right on this one. Beth Torina's softball team will be at it versus, scrolling down. Nichols is coming into town. 6 p.m. I'm glad I clicked on this because I would have said 6:30 on that one too. 6 p.m. your start time. LSU versus Nichols over at Tiger Park. Pre-game will begin at 5:45. That means J.D. Cody gets to go home a couple minutes early. Patrick Wright will be on the call there. NCAA tournament action will pick up again tomorrow. We are down to the Sweet 16, and that action will continue through the weekend. I want to say our sister station, 104.5 ESPN, will be carrying it when we're outside of the live program, and we get into tomorrow night, Friday night, and then on Saturday as well. We'll be picking it up as the Sweet 16 narrows down to the Final Four over the course of the next few days. And we didn't get a big chance to talk about it yesterday because of the weather. But did you see Matt McMahon's contract, or did you see the numbers involved in Matt McMahon's contract? Just under $3 million a year for coaching basketball, with a clause in there in case any sanctions drop down. Not bad work at all. You know, we've heard that. Scott Woodward's reputation kind of preceded him when he got here. He's a big game hunter and likes to write big checks, and so far he is as delivered. I got to tell you, though, this one feels like the biggest win yet. I know McMahon has yet to coach a game at LSU. He just lost to the Cinderella team in the tournament with St. Peter's rolling through Murray State, McMahon coming from Murray State. Yet to coach a game here, and that's a big chunk of money to give somebody. But considering everything the basketball program is looking at, landing that, kind of a big deal. Oh, by the way, LSU gymnastics, they're going to be the 6th seed in their NCAA tournament. That news coming down yesterday, despite finishing the season with their lowest score ever or lowest score recently with the SEC tournament. Here comes the Fox Business Report. My clock was a minute behind and then jumped. I thought I had another minute to go. Damn it. Yeah, all right. So you didn't use the pick with me peeping over?
No, it's a little too creepy.
Okay.
Just a little too creepy. I mean, sorry.
No. It's funny. Okay. Good morning, Christy. I have no idea if Christy's in this morning. Good morning. She got a half day yesterday.
Good for her.
Got the
My son had a half day yesterday.
yeah. Well, Christy's over at the church office, so
Wait a minute. I thought churches don't shut down for like pandemics and natural disasters. God doesn't take vacations.
God doesn't take vacations, but he gives his staff off a little bit. There's a lot of money being spent on this judge's race. Oh, it's over with. There's a Brad Myers commercial. That's not Brad Myers.
No, that's not. When's the actual election? This Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Guess I got to go vote. Eric Harrell. So how much is the autograph now? Harrell, for you, it's nothing. Just a pleasure to serve you guys. Well, some of you guys. Not all of you guys.
Okay, yeah, this is all jacked up because it's like somehow the streams got crossed.
That was a Ghostbusters reference there. Mine's live streaming right now. I got 11 people on live chat.
Nope. Not on me. Well, if everything looks normal to everybody else, then that's cool. I've got 0 people in there, but 4 people commenting, and just the logo. Let's just close out YouTube.
Had some Gale's ice cream last night.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, it was good. Good stuff. It was kind of a weird culinary evening for me. I had chimes for dinner, like original chimes, original recipe chimes, some catfish, it's just good. And then to ease into dessert, I went to Gale's.
Where is Gale's
I'm
again?
gonna be doing the Gaining Fat Boy 50,
Mm-hmm.
the opposite of Gale's is right next to the overpass.
Yeah, you're going to win that one.
I probably
I'm
so.
not.
You're not going back. You're never going back.
No. I like where I'm at. I'm going to lose. I'm probably going to try and lose 10 more since I've gotten back down to 200. If I get down to 190, Vicky and them it goes slow.
At 190, people are going to be like, "Are you okay? You all right?"
Yeah, but like I lift, so
I mean,
it looks.
It doesn't look. You're not looking sickly.
No.
You're not looking like, "Hey, is everything okay?"
Yeah. Nobody's like, when did Brian get AIDS?
Oh.
Too much? All right, I'm turning my stupid phone off. How about that? Just a full reboot. Stupid phone. .625 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. It is time for Legally Served. It is time to welcome in attorney Franz Borghardt as we do at this time every Wednesday. Franz, good morning.
Good morning, people. How are you guys doing?
Doing very, very well. We're going to get into your court TV stuff a little bit later on.
I mean, if you want to talk about me being on court TV again,
I absolutely want to talk about you being. No, not again. It's for the next one. It's for the next one. I want the preview.
I think it's
my audience deserves to peek behind the curtain.
Well, yeah, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We got other fish to fry here.
Well, yeah,
other pastors to fry.
So The headline reads, "Fight for freedom or public safety risk. Supreme Court hears case of pastor who defied COVID rules." Is there a third column that says all of the above?
So here's my thing. It's kind of hard to get. I appreciate fighting for your constitutional rights. I appreciate that. I understand that. But when you're talking about freedom fighting for a misdemeanor, it's kind of like, you know, they're never going to make a movie about Pastor Spell. It's just not freedom fighting, you know. Like there won't be Pastor Spell Unchained.
No. It's and yeah, there is a big gap between an ankle bracelet and martyrdom.
Did he ever agree to be on your show? By the way,
no. What he did
not to Salt Bay into the.
He agreed to be on my show and then no showed and showed up at the exact same time on with Dr. Phil. I think it was Dr. Phil.
Well, you got to understand.
I got bigfooted by Dr. Phil. It happens.
Right, but
it happens.
But his marketing folks, his PR folks, didn't circle back and say, "Hey, we're sorry."
I'm guessing there's. Yeah, I could not get an answer after that and gave up after about 2 weeks.
I wouldn't do you like that. So
yes, and thank you. 2 years after the first fearful days of the COVID pandemic, Reverend Tony Spell asked the Louisiana Supreme Court on Tuesday to throw out criminal charges over his defiance of Governor John Bel Edwards' early emergency restrictions. Spell argues Edwards violated his freedom of religion by ordering the halt of all large public gatherings, including his church services, but attorneys for Edwards and the East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney Hilda Moore argued Spell willfully broke rules that hundreds of thousands of other Louisiana residents and churches found a way to follow for months.
So to be clear, we're not talking about the criminal case where he almost ran over somebody with a bus.
No, this is not. This has nothing to do with the.
I'm not. Am I sprinkling that? I kind of sprinkled that in there.
Well, I'm glad you did because it needs to be talked about.
Right.
Everything he was actually punished for had to do with that.
Right. This is just the question of the church services during the pandemic when there was executive orders in place. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So now, fast forward 2 years later, I have questions, and I've actually spent some time thinking about this one. I mean, normally you're just getting really good legal expertise on the cuff, just firing bullets, man. Do we view the world differently now? 2 years later, are we looking back and are we saying, hey, everybody was doing the best they could in the moment? Or do we look back and say, man, we were being ridiculous back then?
Okay, can the answer be all of the above there, too?
Yes. I mean, it's kind of like the weather, right? We shut down everything, and if it's a whole bunch of tornadoes, then we made the right call.
Yes.
If it's not a tornado and the sun comes out, oh, we're a bunch of wusses. Oh, I can't believe we shut down government for this. Hindsight's 2020, right?
Absolutely.
So part of what we're dealing with in this Supreme Court case is how we view what happened legally through the lens of today versus what was going on then.
Mm-hmm.
And what was going on then was a lot of folks, and now this is not rule of law, this is just background, a lot of folks were doing the best they could. You know, we were doing executive orders, and it wasn't, I think this is what is key, it wasn't you can't have church. What was it?
You can't have church in person.
Can't have church in person. You have to follow some rules.
Everybody else figured out a way to do it except for him.
Right. Well, and let's just be honest. Regardless of my personal feelings with regard to the Reverend Pastor Spell, it was about defiance, right? It was about he was taking a stand. It wasn't about God. It was about defiance.
During Prohibition, speakeasies were called speakeasies because you spoke easy. They were not blasted out over the top. Like if he wanted to have church and he told his parishioners, "You guys come to church and everything will be cool," and they went to church and they went back home again, none of this would have happened.
Right.
His tactic was to make sure everybody knew he was doing what he was doing the way he was doing it, and that's where one of the bigger issues comes into play.
So the Louisiana Supreme Court is reviewing all this, and they have the power to say, no, your rights were violated, your constitutional rights were violated, and throw out a whole bunch of stuff. Or they can say, hey, dude, you're not a martyr. You know, you violated some law, and then he'll take it up higher, I would suspect. So it's just not.
Oh, whoa, so much to unpack from there.
Okay.
But we got to take a break for news. Traffic, weather. I understand Jake was getting a call about some of that traffic as well. So we will have you updated on the back end of that, and legally served with Attorney Franz Borghardt will continue as well. We're going to talk about what are your constitutional rights. Do you have the benefit of hindsight in court? And a whole lot more as we continue to unpack this case and maybe talk about Franz on TV. That's coming up right after this on Talk 107.3. So do you have the benefit of hindsight? Can you look back and say, Your Honor, we held church at all this time, and my parishioners died at a lower rate than the rest of the populace?
So it's all about, for this, it's all about the constitutional First Amendment right. You know, freedom of religion and all that. And, you know, the kitchen sink can go into the argument. You know, if you read the article, one of the questions they had was were there other parishioners? Did y'all single him out or were there parishioners arrested? Which really, candidly, has nothing to do with anything. Like, if they don't arrest the other congregants, that's fine.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So you called to say that traffic's at a standstill southbound on 110 from Memorial to the Governor's Mansion.
Okay.
Am I supposed to tell anybody that other than you?
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can't get it to Ashley. We'll listen to Ashley's report in a second, and hopefully she'll have it. There were 3 tornadoes in New Orleans? In a crawfish they caught in Araby. We'll listen to Ashley's report and then go right to my mic. You said 110 southbound from Memorial Stadium down to the Governor's Mansion? Okay.
Is it Kevin Gallagher?
You want me to go, after traffic?
Right after traffic, before you hit. Oh, is the spots built into it?
Yeah, but I can hit pause.
Okay, yeah, pause.
But if they do cover it, then we're good.
Yes.
So we'll listen for it.
Yes.
It sounds like Kevin Gallagher.
Okay, so this got uploaded at 6:22. There's a likelihood that it didn't get uploaded.
I'm sorry, say again?
The traffic itself got uploaded at 6:22, so there's a likelihood it didn't. Got that call.
She's got it. Ashley's got it. It's lit up on the screen. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. That's not it. There it is. All right. Yeah. Okay, I'm looking at the accident right now.
Now, your Wbrz traffic update from Ashley Fouché.
I'm happy to report there are no major crashes, breakdowns, or delays out there. The Plaquemine ferry's in service, main boat running, second boat still at Parish. If you take the old bridge, normal speeds, just under 60
Yeah,
miles
come to
an
me
hour.
then.
Same story traveling across I-10 and still no issues in Denham. Let's take you outside, check on our cams here. Looks good in Gonzales. Highway 73 at Prairieville fine and no problems by Blue Bayou.
See an accident? Report it at Wbrz Traffic on Twitter. This report is brought to you by Wbrz, where you can get up to $70 with the purchase of 4 eligible BF Goodrich tires. Visit Wbrz.com to learn more.
Quick addendum to the traffic. That was about 5 minutes behind. Just the pace of the morning, not keeping up with what's going on the roads. I-110 southbound, going to be slow going right now, if not stop and go, from Memorial Stadium up to the Governor's Mansion curve, the 2 curves. I don't know if that's an accident or road work that's going on, but we are looking at stop and go traffic, and it looks like 1 lane is open. So if you're coming in on I-110 southbound, you're going to see delays. Also, we're seeing some early delays on 12 westbound past Airline.
How do you choose the right attorney? I give you the answers at murphylawfirm.com.
Yeah, all right.
Insurance companies take advantage of you. Make the right decision. Don't leave money on the table. Visit
Don't
murphylawfirm.com.
be a victim twice.
Who this is?
dude, I'm so excited. Going on a little spiritual quest in the desert. It's going to be an awesome vacay.
Oh, wow. Oh, God. Oh, snap. That's funny. Might be a little bit racist.
You can unlock more cash than you realize from your home's equity with a cash-out refinance today. In the last year, average home values have gone up.
Did you see the bottom pictures, though?
Rocket Mortgage, you can unlock thousands in less than
Yeah, I saw the bottom pictures.
Okay.
His fashion sometimes is...
Questionable. To highly questionable.
So the dude, the coach, that has filed a civil suit against the NFL for hiring practices, what's his name? There's a rule, right, that you have
The
to,
Rooney Rule?
the Rooney Rule.
Yeah.
You just have to consider. You don't have to
The rule is a joke. The rule is an absolute joke. It says you have to have, you know what, I'll say it. The rule says you have to have a token black. That's basically what
on
it
the
is.
squat on the.
You have to interview somebody. You don't have to consider that you just have to interview somebody. It's nothing to do with reality. The problem is you can't tell people who they have to hire. And to me, that's not a problem at all because I wouldn't want to be told who I have to hire if I owned a team. There's no solution to it. There's no solution whatsoever. But, yeah, the way the rule is written is about as dumb as it can be. All right, my thing's just not going to work today. Clinton says he clicks on the link and it goes straight to yesterday's coverage. All right, we're just going to have issues all morning long. Since most of y'all are getting it, we're going to leave it. Legally served with attorney Franz Borghardt rolling right along as part of Mornings with Brian Haldane. We're talking about Pastor Spell heading up in front of the state Supreme Court to the Louisiana Supreme Court. He was there yesterday asking the court to throw out criminal charges over his defiance of Governor John Bel Edwards' early emergency restrictions. Now, there is a possible problem with precedent setting here if they find in favor of Pastor Spell. We'll get to that in a minute. When you're in front of the court, can you argue that everything was cool after the fact? Can hindsight play in your favor?
You can argue anything before the court. They do most of the steering, though, of the boat because they get to ask you questions. Now understand, both sides have submitted briefs in support of their positions and in opposition to the other position. A lot of things have happened before we get to oral arguments with the Supreme Court. Once you get to the Supreme Court, you're really just fine-tuning positions. And the justices are also trying to make a record so that they can utilize that record in their decision. One of the questions, and from the article, the Advocate article that I read, one of the questions was, were y'all singling this guy out?
Right.
Because there wasn't exactly a lot of arrests for what Pastor Spell got arrested for, but then in the flip side is who was doing what he was doing, who was flagrantly violating the law like he was flagrantly violating the law.
Firehouse Barbecue in Denham?
Yeah. He ate there too, didn't he?
Yeah.
He ate there.
And
whatever
put out a press release about
whatever happened to Firehouse Barbecue?
I don't know. They were bursting at the seams during COVID.
So, to your question, yeah, you can argue whatever you want to. The sun was in my eyes. You can argue that if you want to. In this case, the justices wanted to know why. Was he too public for y'all? That was what I think Justice Kane wrote. Was he too public for y'all?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no. It was just that he was violating the law. And in fact, the other piece to this is, if you recall, there were negotiations going on behind the scenes.
Oh,
if I'm
yes.
not mistaken, there were negotiations his arrest seemed, from the outside looking in, I wasn't involved in the case. He has competent attorneys. He didn't hire this guy, but I wasn't involved. But it looked from the outside going in that this was not just a, hey, you're defiant, we're just going to arrest you. It seemed like there was more to it. There seemed like there was some serious negotiations, and basically he was like, no, I'm doing what I want to do.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know the ins and outs of those negotiations. For all we know, that they could have offered to buy them a big old tent, hold services outside. We don't even know.
Tent and a Big Mac.
You know what, though? You want to talk about a rallying point? That would have been a nice little compromise right there, and everybody would have been on board. I don't know if that was ever offered or not, but we don't know the behind the scenes of the negotiations. But what we do know is there was not an opportunity that was missed to get in front of a camera. There was not an opportunity that was missed to declare how he was being persecuted.
Well, some churches were live streaming. Some
A
churches,
lot of them were. Look,
Which
I did Zoom church for quite some time, or not Zoom church, but just a live stream church.
You are a much more religious human being than I am. I'm spiritual.
I'm working on you, man. Let's get there.
As F.
Yeah.
But
the fact that you would use that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I get it. People in a time of crisis, people want to be able to reach out to their religious organizations, their churches, their religious leaders, and get comfort, man. I understand that.
Yes, but also that comfort needs to come in the form of leadership.
Right.
That comfort needs to come in the form of, hey, everybody, let's do the right thing here. I know what feels good. It feels good for all of us to get together, but right now, maybe not so much. Right now, maybe we all need to stay home for a minute, do this the right way, go along to get along for just a minute.
Well, that doesn't get you on Dr. Phil, Brian.
Correct. And it's all going to come back around to that. And can that play against the pastor, not so much about his constitutional rights, but about what Pandora's box it opens to capitulate to the squeaky wheel getting the grease here?
So, number one, your constitutional rights are not absolute. You know, your religious rights, your freedom of religion cannot hurt other human beings. So that's number one. Does the government have a interest in restricting your rights in this case? I think there's a good argument for, look, we were trying to stop the spread of a global pandemic. We were trying to minimize, people were dying, people were getting sick, businesses are being shut down. I think that the government has a good straight-faced argument for these executive orders were not overly cumbersome, they were not unreasonable, and they were in the public's interest.
But they were also proven out to be wrong after the fact.
Well, I mean,
6 feet between people squeezed down to 3 feet. Unless you were in a classroom that couldn't fit, then it was 1.5 feet. That 25% of people got bumped up to 50% of people, got bumped up to 100% of people, got bumped up to whatever based off of where we were in each individual surge.
If you're the government, if you're the governor, and more to the point, if you're the state of Louisiana, the argument would be, well, I'm relying on experts.
Yes.
I'm relying on doctors and experts that are giving mandates. I'm relying on the CDC. I'm relying on all these people that have a lot more science under their belts than Pastor Spell. And look, there are some folks that believe that vaccines are the devil. There's some folks that will not get vaxxed. And look, that's okay. The issue with this case, that's okay for them. Doesn't mean I'm not vaxxing my kid up.
Right.
But the thing is, it's when you're doing things in defiance of the law that could put people in harm's way. And that is part of the argument it was the scope of his defiance, right? Now, this all played out with misdemeanor arrests.
Yeah.
Bigger picture, this is house money for him. He's a pastor of a church. They're not saying, ooh, you got these misdemeanor convictions, we're not going to let you be a pastor of the church anymore. It doubled his street credit, right?
Which is sad, but okay.
It's like being on court TV. So, see what I did there?
I do.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's playing with house money right now. And like I said at the beginning of the segment, if the Supreme Court here doesn't do what he wants, he'll just take it up higher. He will ride this gravy train, Brian Haldane, until the gravy train don't ride.
Yeah, until cameras stop showing up. I get that. My thing is, if the Supreme Court rules in his favor, if anybody rules in his favor on the way up, what we're going to see is every other church in the state needs to turn around and sue as well, because that Pandora's box has been open, that if Pastor Spell's rights were shut down, so was every other church's rights shut down. And oh, by the way, so was every other business. So what seemed to be reasonable precautions at the time, reasonable to some of us, what seemed to be reasonable at the time, in hindsight, proved to not make a heck of a lot of difference, because we got through the second, third, fourth, and fifth surges without having to set out a church. If Pastor Spell is in the right, everyone else was wronged.
No doubt. But the issue is this. Who else was wronged such that they were arrested? What other church leaders?
Nobody else was arrested because everybody else played along.
Father Cleo at Mercy.
Okay.
Our church, they're not arresting Father Cleo, right?
Yeah, Father Cleo is also smart enough to recognize a global pandemic.
Right. Father Cleo doesn't like the feel of metal handcuffs on his wrists. So, stop.
Nope. So he was smart enough to do it the right way.
Right.
That every other church. We got a break again. We're going to come back. We're going to check your money now. We're going to check traffic. We got one more segment to go. We call it Legally Served, folded in the mornings with Brian Haldane every Wednesday here on Talk 107.3.
You're welcome.
No, because
Our energy goes into making products you use every day. Right here in Baton Rouge, we make products for
Gucci.
longer. We make products for medical supplies that keep healthcare workers safe. We make products for lightweight auto parts that increase fuel efficiency. At ExxonMobil Baton Rouge, we make tomorrow's possibilities today. Learn more at energygoesfar.com.
Talk 107.3.
Looking for some bling? Then play Ruby 5s from the lottery. Win up to $5,000. Stop at any lottery retailer and pick up Ruby 5s today for your chance to win up to $5,000. Pick up your tickets today. Want a little fun? Then play Sapphire 7s from the lottery. Win up to $20,000. Stop at any lottery retailer and pick up Sapphire 7s today for your chance to win up to $20,000. Pick up your tickets
So you're
today.
asking
Get
if
your
the
shine on.
circumstance of the press has an influence on what's happening in the case in court?
that's exactly what I'm asking.
There was a myth that somehow children were almost immune.
Yeah, that's exactly what Brian will be asking that exactly.
Of children who were
It's a good question.
It's a very good question.
have deaths here at the hospital.
You don't shame law enforcement publicly, and that's what Tony Spell did.
Well, you arguably, for elected Supreme Court justices, do you shame religious leaders publicly? Where's your constituency?
Well, not to sound like a third grader, but he started it.
The man who called said his name was Jason.
Jason.
When you're single, you start with stuff. Then you get married and double your stuff. And when the girls moved out, what do you do with all that stuff? Dependable Storage has it covered. Their sliding doors are easier to use than those pesky roll-up doors and just as secure. Dependable Storage wants your stuff. Coming soon to Baton Rouge on Burbank. Visit dependablestorage.com.
Oh,
it's a very fast commercial. Is that intentional?
lawyers have to give their registration number or something like that,
And so it had to shrink the commercials
yeah.
down.
It. It's a stupid rule that was passed through the legislature last year because lawyers have too many billboards, basically.
Their registration number is in their license number, or
It all started with lawyers have too many billboards, and then it came around to that's their First Amendment right. You can't stifle somebody's ability to advertise their business.
I'm like a walking NASCAR driver.
Not today.
No, not today. I'm supporting North Face today. I'm endorsing North Face. North Face and I have an arrangement.
How did he state the question again?
Does the press influence the decision?
Russia's G20 membership is under scrutiny, with the U.S. and its Western allies assessing whether the country should remain in the group of 20 grouping of
The
major
last
economies
Rouge, was there anything time sensitive in that I need to bump it out for? It wasn't like an event on the 26th or something like that, right?
I don't remember last week.
Quit drinking.
I'm going through some stuff, man. So I'm driving from Baton Rouge to Sedona, Arizona.
You're driving?
Spiritual quest. Spiritual quest. Spiritual as fuck. Oh, sorry.
I
This
get
is
it.
YouTube, not.
You know what? I get it.
I'm gonna
but
hit
put your
Baton
life in
Rouge.
God's hands and take
So-
flight, my man.
So
Rent a car and
so
go to the Grand Canyon.
My God isn't Pastor Spell's God. So Baton Rouge to Amarillo. There's a canyon in Amarillo, so I'm going to do some low-level hiking.
Amarillo by morning.
Amarillo to Santa Fe to Albuquerque, which is a very short drive, and then Albuquerque to Sedona.
Gonna see Walter White in Albuquerque.
Gonna go to the desert.
Gonna throw a pizza on a roof.
I'm gonna go to the desert and find some things. I'm gonna go to the desert and leave some things. It's gonna be spiritual.
That's right. Amarillo.
Amarillo has the 72-ounce steak free if you eat it in an hour.
Thought you quit meat. One segment to go here for Legally Served as part of Mornings with Brian Haldane. We will have CBS News coming your way in just a little bit. Franz had a caller off the air ask a question that I've been trying to pose, but I don't think I've been posing it the right way. Jason called in and said, does the press influence the court's decision here?
Yes. So the press is perceived politics, right? The press, politicians, elected officials, whether it's the district attorney, whether it's Supreme Court justices, they care what's in the press, right? Mm-hmm. Whether they admit it or not, they may not claim that they make decisions based on PR and press and whatnot, but they're elected officials.
Okay.
And so is it possible that the press's coverage of all this motivates their decision making? Well, yeah. To what degree? I don't know.
Okay, but from the press's perspective, they're covering it because it's a story, and they're covering it because this pastor's jumping up and down saying, "You're not going to stop me from having church." When every other church shut down or went virtual, he said absolutely not, which is why he got the coverage he got.
So if I were spinning it, it's, do you not care about the Constitution? Do you not care about arguably one of the most important constitutional amendments, which deals with
1,000%. I
which
agree.
deals
1,000%.
with your relationship with God. You don't care about that?
So,
I don't want you.
And when you pray, go to the innermost room of your house and close the door.
Right.
Don't.
So the spinning is what's your constituency? If your constituency is not a conservative, a right-wing conservative pocket, then you're going to be like, well, no, you're violating other people's constitutional rights because you're putting their lives in harm's way.
If this did not pass muster to suspend church for men, no, by the way, on the other side of this equation, the court can say, look, every other church that shut down, they got back to it soon after, and all is right with the world.
So remember, he's arguing that he should not be charged with a crime, right? It's about the executive order crime, right? It's not, again, just so the record's clear, this is not him almost running over somebody with a bus.
No, him almost running someone.
I don't know why I chuckle every time I say that because it's a pastor almost running over somebody with the bus.
Do we still have to say allegedly with that?
I mean, I saw the video.
I saw the video.
It looked like it. Now, whether or not
it was weak. It was a weak attempt to run someone over with a bus.
It was a half measure.
Okay.
No more half measures, Pastor
I mean,
Spell.
he honked.
Yeah. Did he honk?
I don't know. It was no audio on the video.
It's so bad.
But,
so this is about the executive order and having services during the pandemic, right?
Right.
Which is ultimately what he was charged with.
Right.
So does the press come into play with this? Yes. And look, I've admitted to you that one of the things I dislike about talking about this guy is I'm part of the problem by talking about this guy. Right?
Completely agree.
Yeah, right.
But it does need to be hashed out because we're going to have comps in the future. There's going to be something that happens in the future where this is relied on. And by the way, I asked about hindsight earlier. What about hindsight from the state's side as well to say, don't forget, the argument at the time was they're taking away your religious freedom. And if they could take it away for a week, they could take it away for a month. And if they could take it away for a month, they could take it away for the rest of our lives. And that's just the first of the freedoms that's going to go away. The state can turn around and say, no, everything went back to normal.
So the better argument for the state might be, no one is above the law. And this guy tried to be above the law, which is why we arrested him. And we didn't arrest him for attempted murder, because that would have been the outlandish charge, right? Your actions are trying to kill people. We're going to arrest you for attempted. We arrested him for violation of a protective order.
Mm-hmm.
That's the long and short of it.
You want to crystal ball it? How you think it plays out?
I think the Supreme Court ultimately says no. Basically says no. Your constitutional rights were not violated, and it stands, because I think ultimately at the end of the day, the restrictions were not so cumbersome, and the state had a genuine interest in doing what it did. There was a genuine public health, public safety interest, and that should be enough, I think, to cover this. Now, that all being said, stranger things have happened. You know, he's a martyr either way, right? He died. He died
diluted word at this point.
Yeah,
he didn't die. He wore an ankle bracelet for a minute and showed it off on Channel 2.
The struggle. The struggle.
The struggle is real. Nice socks, by the way. You're going to be on Court TV again tomorrow.
Yeah. So remember, the Court TV, they track national cases, and they remember from last week I told you they send me a list of these are the things we may talk about, but they don't send me that list until Wednesday evening, and then they send a new list Thursday. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, I had a list of things. There was a doctor in Ohio that's accused of basically killing a bunch of patients with pain medicine. There was Smollett. There was all these different.
We got to talk about that doctor in Ohio at some point.
Oh yeah,
Kevorkian 2.0.
That is how it's being framed. But they'll send you everything. And last week or 2 weeks ago, it was by the way, last minute it's sentencing for Smollett. There is an NBA case where an NBA basketball player. Or somebody, I haven't really been tracking. You can hear me.
Yeah.
But there's some kind of murder, something involved in that. But
a basketball player, is this the NBA young boy thing?
No, that's a different.
Okay.
That's a different thing we'll be talking about in about 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if I can. You know, I occasionally get hired to represent folks.
That would be.
He has counsel.
Really big.
He has counsel, so it would be somebody else in the mix. So, yeah. So next week,
mm-hmm.
I want to apologize to the listeners in advance. Next week, I will not be in studio. I apologize to all the listeners, the people watching on YouTube. I'm going to be in Arizona. God's country.
You going to Arizona?
Sweat Lodge. Desert.
You are not.
Desert, naked Indian, whole 9 yards.
First of all, Native American, and secondly...
Spiritual quest. A spiritual vision quest, if you will. I'm going to find that my spirit animal is a cockroach or something like that.
Hey, we don't need to know
centipede.
That. Whatever's out in Arizona.
I've wanted to go to Sedona for a couple of years now. There is some great nature out there. There's some great hiking, and it is a spiritual place. So I'm, all joking aside, I'm in touch with that facet of my inner being.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, my God doesn't. I mean, my conduit to God is not Pastor Spell.
No, it's on Marquette.
Cleo.
Yes.
So anyway,
you drive to Arizona. I'll drive to Mid-City.
So part of a good journey is part of the good trip is the journey, right?
Oh yeah.
A pilgrimage is about getting there. So
that's it. Well, Miley Cyrus said it's the climb.
That's right.
He's Franz Borghardt. We do legally served every week. Here comes CBS News. That's the second time I've referenced that song. Rocco said he was going to break my legs if I brought that song up again. So, sorry, Rock.
The climb? Wow.
It's always going to be another mountain. Always going to want to make it move.
I'll see you guys.
Later, brother. Drive safe, man. I'll let Rashi know to cancel this weekend next, and we'll fix it in 3 months. You know how we roll. It's always going to be another mountain. Hey, you know they say people got their last names from what their ancestors did for a living? Like if your last name is Smith, your ancestor was a blacksmith?
I guess there were a lot of back in the day.
Yeah. How did someone with the last name Dickerson get their name? Don't answer.
But I want to answer.
No. No. I can't find. There was another shooting, and I didn't put it in the cockapoo-poo. Burglars. Shots fired at Southern. Trooper and Ronald Green. Bank robbery on Jones Creek. There was a shooting on Bluebonnet. There it is. Eric says, great nature until you fall into a pit of rattlesnakes. Exactly. Debbie says if his congregation didn't back him and show up, this would have gone away. That's also a good point. That is also a good point. They are, but it's a weird spot, though, because, yes, they are grown-ass people who are free to make their own decisions. But oh man, that would be like every business opening in the midst of the pandemic and saying nobody has to come. You can't blame me. I'm just here, and then nothing changes. And then through the eyes of the way this was playing out at the time it played out, it would have been worse. Huddling or cuddling? Byron says someone should reboot y'all's router. I know. We're going to have to limp along throughout the rest of the show today and then restart it once it's over with. We're going to restart the whole damn thing once it's over with because this is not working for me. Nothing Jake can do in the middle of it right now except for shut us down for half the show. So you play the rest of the season with the injury, you get surgery after the season. Or Michael Thomas and get the surgery done a week before the season starts. Want to hear a conspiracy theory? Well, after this. Did Sean Payton retire because Michael Thomas wasn't going to play for him ever again? Yeah. Not very public, but it was talked about a lot on a lot of the. Jalen and Jacoby had it a lot. Jalen Rose was all over Michael Thomas, and this comes back to 2020 with the summer of social justice. Michael Thomas had a lot of problems with Sean Payton then, according to Jalen Rose. So, could a conversation have been had? Sean, you know you're going to hang it up in a season or two. We want to lock this guy up for the rest of his career.
That's tough.
Right?
That's a tough decision.
I don't think it ever played out like that. I don't think that's the way it was. I just heard the conversation and thought, wow, that's interesting. I really don't think that's how things played out. All right, so now I've got picture and nobody watching.
Let me pull it up on my phone.
This might be a YouTube problem as well.
It could be, because we've never had this problem.
Right. Eric says, great nature until you fall into a pit of rattlesnakes. I saw a pit of rattlesnakes last weekend. the Louisiana Outdoor Expo, they had this like fenced off area full of rattlesnakes. It was crazy.
Do we have Philip in person?
No. No, our street's out of Washington, D.C. I used to lean on them a lot. I lost my contact with them and then finally made up. Yeah. Okay. .706 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Jake producing. Thanks again to attorney Franz Borghardt, who is off on his vision quest as of, I don't know, well, for our show's purposes right now. I mean, just driving to Arizona, that alone, that much time in the car, that much time with podcasts at the ready, scanning local radio through West Texas, that in and of itself is a mission. You know what he won't have on the road? He won't have those great bull shrimp you're going to get on Friday from Mathern's. Mathern's Market, 2 locations, downtown on 3rd Street, Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, right across the street from Tiger Stadium. If you're heading out to watch the Tigers play tonight at Alex Box against La Tech, maybe swing by Mathern's. Grab yourself some tailgating gear. Grab yourself some snackies. Grab yourself a couple of cold ones. Oh, the craft beer selection at Mathern's is phenomenal. I put it up against anybody's in town. Underrated craft beer selection. And if you need a recommendation, ask Tony. He has never let me down. He won't let you down either. And yes, they are a full-service grocery store. And yes, you can download the Mathern's app and get your grocery shopping done before you even leave work. And yes, you can save an hour or more out of your week by having your groceries brought out to your car instead of traipsing up and down the aisles. Downtown on 3rd, or traipse up and down the aisles. It's all good. It's a wonderful grocery store and a wonderful location. Downtown on 3rd or right across the street from Tiger Stadium. It's Mathern's. All right, this hour we are going to talk with Philip Rosetti. He is the Senior Resident Fellow for Energy and the Environment from R Street. R Street is a nonpartisan free market think tank out of Washington, D.C. We used to lean on them a lot for a number of different topics. Well, let's talk about the Defense Production Act. The headline reads, the Defense Production Act is not a get-out-of-jail-free card for bad energy policy. Any chance we get to talk energy policy here, we're going to do it. Also, later on this hour, another $1.3 billion is coming down from hurricane aid. We have audio and video to accompany that story, but who did it come from? Got an interesting little twist for you later on. Right now, though, it's time for Top Stories and Trending. Let's hit it. A pair of burglars stole thousands of dollars worth of jewelry and clothing after they correctly guessed the passcode to a storage facility on Perkins Road. East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office first released details surrounding the crime Tuesday. The department said the 2 thieves showed up outside Apple Tree Storage along Perkins back on March 2nd. According to the Sheriff's Office, the pair dialed random security codes into the keypad at the business's entrance until they were able to get inside. The men were caught on video cutting the lock off a storage unit. Officials said the 2 got away with about $4,200 worth of valuables. Deputies suspect the same 2 burglars are tied to numerous other storage unit thefts in the area. Gunshots were fired on Southern University's campus in the parking lot of Jones Hall. No one was injured, this according to campus police. Police said it is not an active shooter situation, or was not an active shooter situation. The campus was clear as of yesterday morning. One of the troopers who said he refused to cover up Ronald Green's death told lawmakers on Tuesday he was asked to conceal evidence. Trooper Scott Brown told the legislative committee investigating Green's death that the request came from Troop F Commander John Peters. He did not go into detail about what evidence he was asked to conceal. Troop F covers the Monroe area. Brown said he couldn't recall another time that the agency did not heed his recommendation to fire an officer. These meetings, these hearings will continue every Tuesday until they get down to some level of conclusion. Police took a person into custody after a standoff at an apartment complex Tuesday afternoon. Officers arrested 22-year-old Tavion Hampton, who was charged with illegal use of a weapon, aggravated flight. Well, how do you flight in a standoff? Possession of a machine gun, 3 counts of aggravated criminal damage to property, and felon in possession of a firearm. A heavy police presence was first spotted shortly before 2 p.m. at Blue, BLU, on the boulevard, an apartment complex near the intersection of Bluebonnet and Perkins Road. Video shared with our news partners at WBRZ showed at least one. Oh no, I lost my screen. At least one officer pointing a rifle at an apartment building. A short while later, Hampton was seen being taken into custody by police. A bank robbery on Jones Creek yesterday. Deputies are looking for a man who robbed the Bancorp South Bank on Jones Creek around 4:30 yesterday afternoon. Wow, that was in the thick of the rain, right? According to the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, a black male wearing a neon yellow shirt and a face mask entered the bank, passed the teller a note, making threats and demanding money. Deputies said no weapon was seen on surveillance video. The man ran out of the bank with an undisclosed amount of cash. Which cash? It's now wet because it was raining when that happened. Those are your top stories. Here's a look at what's trending this morning. Did you see the video out of Texas? Harrowing video showed a pickup truck tossed around by an apparent tornado on a Texas highway before it ultimately landed back on its wheels and drove off with the driver mostly unharmed. Check his pants. The footage was captured on Highway 95 in Elgin, Texas. It was late Monday, so this was part of yesterday's stories, but from the night before. The Fort Worth Star Telegram reported the driver appeared to be someone in their late teens, reportedly had to borrow a passerby's phone to call his parents, but walked away with no more than a cut to his arm. The same storm system was the one that passed through our city or our state yesterday. It was a Chevy truck. And it's 7:13 on a Wednesday morning. I don't know how that's not already a commercial for Chevy trucks. Right? I mean, Dodge, Ford, did you just survive a tornado and drive away unharmed? Be ready for next year's Super Bowl because there's your ad. All right. Quick break. When we come back, let's talk the Defense Production Act and energy policy. Next on Talk 107.3 FM. Oh, snap! I got a text earlier saying, are you actually arguing in favor of Pastor Spell? No, I'm arguing in favor of the conversation and in favor of all arguments that need to be played out.
Now, your WBRZ traffic update.
Yeah, somehow yesterday's severe weather coverage and today's show, the streams are just crossed on this one. Because I rebooted YouTube again, and the first one that comes up says severe weather coverage, and it's live. And then I go to my channel, and it says this morning show, and it's live. That's so weird. And for some reason, there's twice as many people watching severe weather coverage than this morning's show. It's different streams or different numbers of people watching. I don't understand YouTube. .716 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So, the column from Philip Rosetti over at R Street. He's the resident senior fellow for energy and the environment. The headline reads, Defense Production Act is not a get-out-of-jail-free card for bad energy policy. Rosetti says when all you have is a hammer, everything seems like a nail. This truism is again relevant as politicians try to combat high oil prices by considering using the Defense Production Act to force oil and gas producers to increase production and thus hopefully lower oil prices. This would be tantamount to opening a Pandora's box of bad policy options. Joining us now to talk about it is Philip Rosetti. Philip, welcome aboard. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing very well. Obviously, coming to you from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, we have a level of interest in this. Oil and gas is kind of our bread and butter down here when it comes to our economy. It's a big chunk of our economy. So let's break it down. Let's start with the Defense Production Act. What is this actually going to force?
So the Defense Production Act is this Cold War era law, which is essentially born out of this idea that, if you're in a situation where World War III starts and, Ford is just making cars because that's what's profitable and they need to make tanks, then you need some policy that allows you to force this transition. The most common use of the DPA right now is essentially like post-disaster relief. So you'll see, food and medicine going to, hurricane victims, and it's usually to prevent litigation risks. Avoid some situation where, someone says, hey, I bought that food and it was supposed to go to me next, and you can, change these contracts. The challenge is every once in a while, politicians get this idea of, okay, we've got some shortage. We're just going to force producers to produce more of it. And the issue with that is it kind of ignores the basic economics of the incentives for why producers should or should not produce. And you can run into a problem where you're basically creating this perverse situation where producers are unprofitably producing something, unsustainably producing it, and they could eventually go out of business, and then you're going to be left with actually less than you had before.
Is that where we're at right now, though, or would increased production fill an actual need?
Well, we need to increase production, but the challenge is the DPA is not going to necessarily enforce that. So what the DPA would do is if you have imposed on oil and gas producers for leases that might not be profitable for them to produce on, they would have to do it. But that money has to come from somewhere. And it's either going to come from higher prices, which is, would actually be the opposite of the intention of the DPA, or it's going to come from taxpayers, which is just moving the costs around in some way or another. The challenge also in oil is it's not just about, okay, what's our total volume, but it's also about, what are the grades. You think about refiners in Louisiana, it's not always that they need more oil, it's that they need the right oil to mix with especially domestic oil to achieve the right API gravity, which is essentially the consistency of oil when you refine it, so that it can go through the refinery properly.
And where do we get the right oil from?
Well, traditionally we used to get it from Venezuela for the heavy oil that would mix in with a lot of domestic light oil. We used to get a lot of it from Russia, or we're getting a lot of it from Russia that would be mixed in with domestic oil. And then, you can have some other domestic heavy oil sources. But it's not really clear if the DPA would actually get that outcome. It would be more about trying to have government direct and govern how these refiners operate and how oil and gas producers operate. And it's just never a good idea to have politicians in Washington trying to tell businesses how they should operate.
No, because the more times you tinker with it, the more tinkering you have to do on the back end to correct and overcorrect the overcorrection.
Yeah, it should never be a surprise that politicians in Washington never really know how to run someone else's life.
You know, and yet it continues to happen damn near daily. So what would increased production do short-term versus long-term? Like, what would this provide some sort of short-term relief? Because, I mean, most of America right now can look at this through the lens of, is it bad policy, and not care because it's going to cost less when they pull up to the pump.
I wouldn't actually expect it to reduce costs that significantly, just because it's not really clear if there's a lot of good opportunity for production that the BPA would capture. What I think is probably a better move is addressing long-term risks in the oil market. So we see this big price spike after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and that's not necessarily a disruption in supply. That's the risk of a future disruption, just because you have this, oil is a durable commodity. You can store it for a long time as long as you're maintaining it. So just the thought that there might be a shortage in the future can increase the prices. So I think addressing that by making sure the administration says, okay, we're going to make sure that there are leases available. We're going to be approving infrastructure. We're going to be approving, offshore leases. That, I think, would go a long way to signaling to investors, okay, there's going to be supply if you're willing to invest in it. And that's really the opposite of the moves that the administration made early on.
Okay, I want to revisit that in just a second, but I got to ask a supply side question. When we're talking about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine affecting supply, are we talking about affecting U.S. supply or global supply?
Well, they're really the same because oil is traded in a global market, and because oil is, we don't have the oil export ban anymore, which is actually a good thing because it allows our suppliers to, have their own incentives for increased production. The price is going to be determined by the global demand. And we actually saw, there were lockdowns in China recently, and that's actually suppressed global demand. That's why we see this, dip in the prices that happened last week, and now it's, starting to climb back up again.
Okay, back to what you had to say a moment ago. You're going to have supply if you invest in it. Invest in it how? What's the right way to get this done? And would that mean more jobs in Louisiana?
It probably would mean more jobs in Louisiana, for sure, because Louisiana is such a big oil and gas state. I think the best answer for all of this is understanding that the energy market in the United States actually operates much better than most of the rest of the world. And energy prices are actually usually lower in the United States than our, European counterparts. We have a free market. We have private companies that can see high prices in the energy sector and say, hey, this is a good opportunity. I'm going to invest in that. And to get that investment, you really just have to make sure that there aren't governmental barriers to that investment. You compare that with what's going on in, a lot of foreign countries. They have state-owned enterprises. Venezuela, their oil production, basically tanked because they weren't spending any money on oil exploration. They were just spending it on, social services. So we have a pretty well-tuned system here. We just need to make sure that government is kind of restrained from their intentions of doing something like a windfall tax or trying to inhibit more leases or delay, export projects.
Do we have historical comps for where we've run into these supply questions in the past and how we've gotten out of them? And, I mean, can we not Monday morning quarterback what we've already done to find a better way?
I think the best historical example is actually the oil crises of the late 1970s, which really was just an extension of the oil crisis of the early 1970s. And during that time period, a big issue was actually that we had price controls on oil. So domestic oil producers, they didn't have any profitable way of producing oil. And as a result, there were no new entrants into the market, and the production in the United States was low. But they wanted to keep those price controls in place because they thought it was constraining the prices at the pump. So President Carter at the time was pushing for alternative fuels and solar power. We used oil a lot for electricity back then. And then Reagan came into office, and he lifted price controls, and basically immediately production started to increase and prices came down. That, I think, is the best example of how to sort of make sure the market is incentivized to increase production.
Yes, without that much outside influence. We're talking with Philip Rosetti. He's with R Street. We're talking about the Defense Production Act and its influences on overall energy policy. Philip, I got to ask, producing more oil seems to fly in the face of this administration's green agenda. If we're going to see that on the short end, would we see a tinkering with demand on the other end to get back to what they would like to do as far as more environmentally friendly, less fossil fuel reliant options?
Well, I think I'm going to distinguish, sort of two elements here. One is the reality, and then the other is, potential political objectives that you might see out of this administration. We look at the trajectory of global oil demand; it's still very high. Even with all the surge in renewables and rising renewables in the future, liquid fuels demand, which is basically oil, petroleum products, is still going to be massive. There's really not a big risk of these investments being, only a near-term jump and then, dipping down. And also, a lot of these resources are sometimes cleaner to produce in the United States than abroad. So especially, natural gas is a good example. When we export natural gas to Europe, it's actually lower life cycle emissions than when Europe imports that Russian gas, which comes on these multi-thousand mile long pipelines. So there's, I think, a good global incentive to say, okay, we're going to responsibly produce these products to supply the global demand, but that hasn't been the priority of the administration thus far. And I think that's where we get into the political objectives, where they pushed a 50% EV sale target by 2030, and they're really trying to consider more environmental considerations and LNG terminals and things like that. So as a consequence, I think that creates this long-term sort of dampening on the investors, where they're kind of like, okay, is there going to be some policy that prevents me from investing in the future? Is this going to be a wise long-term investment? But then you look at the sort of basic economics and the global demand, and that would seem to indicate that, okay, there should be more production. So it's really this push-pull factor that's, kind of at odds with each other.
Got a couple minutes left for Philip Rosetti. There's no way I don't ask this question, because this is the Defense Production Act, and you referenced it earlier on about the being born out of the Cold War. As an American citizen, as a consumer, should I be reading deeper into the use of the DPA? Do they think this is going to escalate over there to cause more problems than just the oil industry for us?
I think the big risk with the DPA is when you start to go down the route of, all right, we're going to try to address this one problem with the DPA, which really is supposed to address short-term problems, and I think the oil price right now is more of a long-term problem. That runs the risk of everything else in your life that they're going to say, oh, maybe we should use the DPA for that. And you look at with the Soviet Union and their big supply troubles, and a lot of that was just based on the way they structured their economy, where they tried to centrally plan everything. It was like, oh, we have a shortage of this, we're going to steer resources to that. And then they actually took resources away from their other objectives, and then they were just constantly playing whack-a-mole and always had shortages. So it's really just this idea of, okay, as an American, we understand that the free market is the best tool to allocate these resources. Let the investors identify the best opportunities and understand that competition is the key to long-term price relief and economic growth.
And that is where we're going to have to call it, just due to time. It's a fascinating conversation, and yeah, whack-a-mole is about as right as is going to get. He is Philip Rosetti from R Street. I always appreciate the time, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you let it play out organically, it might take a minute to get there, but it's going to get there the right way, and you won't have to readjust what you've adjusted. You won't have to take on new problems to correct your old problems. All right. We got to take a break. News, traffic, weather, all coming your way. We're going to start with CBS. Then when we have our own local news, Ashley will check traffic. Marissa will have your forecast, and then we'll be right back at it here on Talk 107.3 FM. State Representative Paula Davis set to join us in our next hour as well. So we will continue next. Can you Google this column and put a link in the on demand to it? One of the things I promise our street is backlinks so we can cross promote them. Oh. Oh. Sure. Can you please Google this column and include a link to it inside the on-demand? Okay, thank you. Yes. Well, I'm done with it.
Okay, do you want the video first or the cuts first?
Cuts. Oh, jeez. So stupid. This might be the dumbest interview request I've gotten this week. It's just Dick's name. Well, he was on Fox. Does not have a Twitter. On Hannity. On KOA. This dick nozzle. Whoa. Well. All right, fine. Maybe I'll book it. Holy crap. Oh, wow.
Okay, so Patton's mattress.
Yeah. .737 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Thanks again to Philip Rosetti for hopping on board to talk a little bit. Look, I know when we start talking just markets, economics, and the like, I like to call on people who know a hell of a lot more than me, and Philip knows a hell of a lot more than me. If we got a little bit too deep, too in the weeds, not even apologizing for it, because what's going to come out on the back end is what we're actually going to see, the pumps, and what we're actually going to see when it comes to jobs in Louisiana. So my appreciation to Philip for his time, his insight, his column. We'll put a link to the column in with the audio on demand at talk1073.com when that's posted up a little bit later on. Going to get you to a story about $1.3 billion in federal aid coming to Louisiana to help out from last year and the year before's hurricanes. But I'm kind of running into a loss of words here. So the sun's been up for about, just under an hour now, right? And the tornado that hit in Araby yesterday and the one in Gretna as well, they were hitting as the sun was going down. So we're basically getting our first pictures of the damage in New Orleans East and in the parish as well, in St. Bernard Parish as well. And I'm scrolling through them, and this is bad. It was really, really bad. We're looking at just decimated houses, overturned and totaled cars. I'm looking at a picture right now of, a Ford Explorer that is it's flipped over and crushed like it went through one of those car crusher things. We're going to learn a lot more about damage as the day wears on. We're going to learn that this was probably a lot more effects than we thought first going into the night last night. We had the reported one fatality. I'm guessing as they get in from house to house, we're not done. Not done by any stretch of the imagination. I'm looking to get somebody from the Baton Rouge Fire Department on tomorrow morning. Once they've had their boots on the ground a little bit. Last night, around 30 members of Louisiana's USAR Task Force 2 firefighters from Baton Rouge, Zachary, Central, and West Feliciana, they loaded up the trucks, loaded up the trailers, headed on down I-10. They're on the way to assist those impacted by the storms in the New Orleans area. They will be assisting local agencies with search and rescue efforts. Those search and rescue efforts are underway right now. With when you shine the light on what actually happened, and like literally shine the actual sunlight on what actually happened, there's going to be a number of stories of devastation. It's I gotta put it away because the more I look at it, the less I can talk. I mean, it is that breathtaking isn't the right word. It halts you in your tracks, to be sure. All right. Let's talk about hurricane aid in just a little bit. Before that, though, got to tell you about the folks over at the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. Waking up this morning to relatively cooler temperatures. It's one of those mornings when you've got the right mattress, you just don't want to get out of bed. For me, Sealy Beauty Rest Black Label. Where'd I get it? 4065 Florida Boulevard in Mid-City, home of the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet, home of a huge showroom where You remember the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears? She tried the porridge. One was too hot, one was too cold, one was just right. The chairs, one was too tall, one was too short, one was just right. And then she laid down on the beds. One was too lumpy, one was too soft, one was too hard, however it broke down. One was just right. Get yourself the Goldilocks treatment over at the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. There are 2 locations. Yes, 4065 Florida Boulevard, Mid-City. But also, if you're down in the southeastern corner of the parish, if you're in Ascension Parish, if you're in the area around St. George, Most Blessed Sacrament. Actually, Most Blessed Sacrament is the closest church to it. But anyway, the corner of Jefferson and Housatoo. You will find the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. Smaller footprint, smaller showroom, same great deals, same great service, same great prices. And oh, by the way, mention you heard about it right here, and you'll get free delivery and a free pillow. Got to drop my name, though, at either location of the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. All right. Louisiana is set to receive nearly $1.3 billion in federal assistance from continued rebuilding from the hurricanes of 2020 and 2021. This money coming from the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development as part of the Disaster Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act. You heard about it in our news at the bottom of the hour just a little while ago. Governor John Bel Edwards says he's grateful to HUD Secretary Marcia Fudge for expediting the aid.
That visit went a long way in terms of not just having her see what was happening on the ground here, but actually reassuring the people of Louisiana on a promise that she has certainly made good on.
HUD is giving Louisiana nearly $500 million in community development block grants for housing assistance for those still struggling with recovery from Laura and Delta back in 2020. The governor says this is enough to help those with low to moderate incomes.
Additional $450 million for Hurricanes Laura and Delta from 2020 will certainly go a long way to help Southwest Louisiana recover from those disasters.
Crazy thing is, though, you have to do this in hindsight. If you're still building or rebuilding as a result of those hurricanes, the amount you need versus the amount you filed for, the amount you need versus what you needed then, 2 completely different numbers. In addition, HUD was allocated another $1.27 billion for rebuilding from Hurricane Ida last summer. Edwards says this will go a long way as well to meeting the needs of residents and communities that were in Ida's path.
The low to moderate income housing, both for homeowners and for renters, will be taken care of with the allocation that was announced today.
So the money's coming from HUD, but this is one of my, well, I don't want to say one of my favorite things to do, but one of the things that I lean on every single time we see something like this. It stemmed from HUD, but where did it come from? Who got the ball rolling here? You heard Governor John Bel Edwards in that first soundbite said the visit paid off, meaning when he made the trip up to Washington, D.C. The money's coming on the heels of $1.5 trillion spending plan that included nada for further hurricane relief. So it is very much needed. But what I love is when you see something like this happen, every outlet is going to have a press release about it. And you're left thinking that every outlet is responsible for getting us those dollars. I hold in my hand press releases from Congressman Graves, Congressman Carter, and Senator Bill Cassidy. Let's break it down. Congressman Graves. U.S. Congressman Garrett Graves released the following statement regarding $1.287770000, $1.287 billion allocated today related to natural disasters in 2020 and 2021. These community development block grant disaster recovery dollars are from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. So far, only $600 million of $5 billion has been allocated for those impacted by the 2020 hurricanes. Quote, within 1 month of Hurricane Ida's landfall, we secured billions of dollars in federal funding to help South Louisiana recover and are continuing to work on more funds. This is welcome news, but it shouldn't have taken 6 months for the funds to be allocated. We have hurricane victims that needed these funds back in September when we passed the law. It's a great first step in down payment, but there remains more work to be done to get these funds in motion and help those still struggling to recover from hurricanes Laura, Delta, and Zeta. We are approaching the 2022 hurricane season. We've got to get these funds moving as soon as possible before any storm inevitability barrels through the Gulf, Graves said. He then went on to have a breakdown of where some of those funds are going within it. So, the takeaway from Congressman Garrett Graves, no, he didn't claim victory on his own office's part for the funding. He cites it comes from HUD, just like the governor cited it came from HUD. Congressman Graves' report card is, yeah, it's good news to see a number figure, but let's put this in actual people's hands. Congressman Troy Carter, his take on the exact same announcement. Today, meaning yesterday, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, okay, he also gives proper attribution, announced a total allocation of nearly $3 billion in community development block grant disaster recovery funds to help communities recover from disasters, move back into permanent housing, and build inclusive resilience to climate change. He's got a breakdown of the dollars. The state of Louisiana receiving $1.272 billion, $4.648 million heading to Baton Rouge, $10.75 million heading to Lake Charles. What is Congressman Carter's quote? Today's announcement is yet another example of federal government showing up for the people of Louisiana. This more than $1.27 billion infusion into our state will not only help communities rebuild and recover from Hurricane Ida and recent floods, but will help build long-term strength and resiliency in our systems. These funds, along with the infrastructure law, are historic investments for Louisiana. I'm proud to have supported and voted for these efforts. Okay, so credits HUD, but reminds us that his was one of the yay votes along the way. The back and forth here, the difference between the two. Congressman Graves says it shouldn't have taken 6 months to get the money allocated, and how long is it going to take for the next round to get allocated? Congressman Carter says, hey, this infusion will help communities recover and rebuild. Hey, thank goodness for the federal government. Senator Bill Cassidy actually helped us out by sending over a video. What's he got to say?
Louisiana will receive an additional $450 million in supplemental disaster aid for Hurricanes Laura and Delta, and $1.27 billion for Hurricane Ida recovery. This announcement includes direct relief of an additional $10.8 million for Lake Charles and $4.6 million for Baton Rouge. The funding for Hurricanes Laura and Delta is in addition to the $600 million I announced last year, which brings the total funding secured by the Louisiana delegation to $1.06 billion for Southwest Louisiana. Now, this funding is from previous unallocated relief that we and the congressional delegation secured as part of the fiscal year 2022 Disaster Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act that was signed into law last September. And you made the point. This is a tremendous, and we've worked hard to get relief for the people of South Louisiana, which is not to say we don't have a long way to recover, but this sort of funding can be a game changer. And by the way, I will continue to work to make sure that unmet need is addressed as we go forward.
First of all, Congressman Carter and Graves, send a video. I mean, it goes so much further to hear it in his own voice, right? Between those three, Congressman Graves said it came from HUD, which it did. Not three, four. Governor John Bel Edwards said it came from HUD. Graves a little ticked at the timeline. Congressman Carter, a little bit more pumped. And Senator Cassidy notes the road that we've still got to go, but also notes the work is being done. I like hearing the different takes. You get the same news through a completely different lens. A completely different lens. This time around, you saw a little bit of, hey, I did that for you. Just a little bit. Not as much as usual, though. Always fun. All right, quick break. Come back. We'll get outside of East Baton Rouge Parish for the Outside In next. Yeah, Garrett, Troy, have your press guy whip out his phone, grab a 45-second to a minute-long video, email that. We live in a visual society, man. Although, to be fair, I did not have enough time to go to their individual social media pages and see if they posted something on their own. So they might have done it without sharing it with the media. They might have done it and said, I am my own media. Damn it. Stretchy. 12 hours. 13 hours up here yesterday. And for what? A half-hour rainstorm? See, I'm guilty of it too. Just like you said at the very beginning of the show, I'm guilty of it too. I didn't want it to be more. But what I wanted was to not do it. It's a weird spot, man. It's a weird place to be. And
yeah.
You're going to find, through hurricane season especially,
Yeah.
we'll do extended coverage. We're not going to go round the clock, but we'll do extended coverage, and we're all going to put in hours, and at the end of the day, we'll be like, thank God. There, but for the grace of God goes us. And we're going to skirt a hurricane, and someone's going to be pissed. You guys blew this out of proportion. They canceled school, sent people home from work. The economy's tanking, all because of what you told us the hurricane was going to do. And that's just not, I mean.
Yeah, one half day really killed the economy.
It did.
We
can't afford it, man.
Yeah,
we can't afford it.
Because our economy's
My
been
rights!
so great up to this point.
You're trampling all over my rights to do business, what you're doing.
I just was expecting, like, my power to go out. If anything, I'd just open the window and listen to the pitter-patter of the rain hit my apartment. If anything, it was refreshing and calming. I heard one lightning strike. That was it.
Oh, there was a bunch of lightning.
Yeah.
Here's what was crazy. So we got the Doppler window.
Yeah.
The Doppler, the super Doppler window, where we regularly check our weather, our high-tech window presented by Relief Windows. I have no idea if they actually put that in, but that's they sponsor a lot of stuff here. So our super Doppler window presented by Relief Windows. I was going to the Doppler window regularly in the 3 o'clock hour, and it was a drizzle from 3:30 to 4. Okay? I got someone walks in the building and is like, oh, it's a nightmare out there. And I'm like, what the crap, dude? I'm looking at it right now. It's like drizzle. I go over to the other side of the building. Monsoon. Monsoon over there. Light drizzle over here. Like our building was the dividing line.
Jeez.
Oh, gorilla ball. So have we not had any comments in an hour? Or has everybody just given up on the feed this morning because of the split stream? Because I'm showing 19 people watch. Nope, 11 people. Nope, 19 again. 19 people watching and nobody talking. Yeah.
See an accident? Report it at Wbrz Traffic on Twitter. This report is brought to you by Shawbills, where you can get up to $70 with the purchase of 4 eligible BF Goodrich tires. Visit ShawbillsTire.com to learn more.
It's 7:55, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Going to take you up to CBS News here at the top of the hour when we get the latest from around the world. Probably an update from down in New Orleans, which we'll get to in the outside in just a minute. Hey, every day I tell you about the folks over at Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes. You're going to find the best burger in Baton Rouge, the best service, bringing you the best burger in Baton Rouge, fresh ingredients, certified Angus beef. But I don't often tell you about the rewards program, and they've got a very straightforward rewards program. I like a straightforward rewards program. Every dollar spent earns a point. 50 points equals a $5 reward. You get your first reward just for downloading the Mooyah app. That reward, free order of fries with your next meal. Download the Mooyah app. Get your free order of fries when you swing by to get a burger at Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes. Either location, Bluebonnet at Highland or Seagan just north of Industrialplex. Downloading the app gets you a free order of fries. After that, every dollar is a point. 50 points equals $5. Usable directly back at both locations of Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes. There's also, while you have that very straightforward approach to the rewards program, they throw in random surprises. They throw in random surprises as well. Maybe a little birthday surprise, a couple of other things throughout the year. And like I said, the free personal fries with any purchase for signing up, and bonus points for signing up with Facebook as well. Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes. Bluebonnet at Highland, Seagan, just north of Industrialplex, if you didn't have lunch plans already. All right, time for us to step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish. It's the outside in. Let's get it. Oh! Where is that? Of course, we're starting off at St. Bernard Parish. Video obtained by a reporter at WWL showed a massive tornado rolling through Chalmette Tuesday evening. That wasn't the only tornado that touched down. That one, the one we're talking about, was in Araby. There was also another one in New Orleans East, in Gretna, and then over across the lake at Slidell. The Office of the State Fire Marshal dispatched teams from New Orleans and Baton Rouge for search and rescue operations. One fatality has been reported thus far, but as the sun has gone up this morning, the revelations of how much damage was done is starting to become more clear. So more on that as we move forward. Over to Iberville Parish. State troopers had to go car to car, waking up drivers who were stuck on the Basin Bridge for hours after a major overnight wreck. Ashley Frugier was reporting on this throughout the morning yesterday morning. A 7-car pileup first reported around 1:30 a.m. Interstate reopened at 7:30 a.m. If you were sitting there for 6 hours, you likely dozed off. So troopers had to go around waking up drivers to get them moving again. The wreck involved two 18-wheelers. Reports said law enforcement, it took a while. No major injuries in the wreck, but everybody did finally get moving. Over to Lafayette Parish. Safewide ranks the city of Youngsville, Scott, and Broussard among the 10 safest cities in Louisiana for 2022. SafeWise is an online resource that provides tools and information to help people make their life safer at home and in their community. Youngsville Police Chief Ricky Boudreau attributes Youngsville's safest city ranking to hard work of his officers. He says their dedication is complemented by the community who supports them. Early voting for the March 26th election drew just 2% of Livingston Parish registered voters. Not a whole lot of early voting going on in Livingston Parish. Just under 18 people took advantage of their early voting period that wrapped up last Saturday. That's the outside in. We are due up for a break. After that break, we will, we'll break for CBS News. Ashley will have our traffic. We are looking at delays on 10 near College right now. All right, Galen says still here. Good. Good deal. the hell is that?
It's Mary Fine, F-E-I-N.
Mm-hmm. Josh Innes has a question up on his Twitter feed that we're going to have to entertain at some point. In fact, if you're watching on YouTube, this is totally random, totally off the cuff, and it has nothing to do with anything we're talking about today. But it's piqued my interest. Name someone the world thinks is funny, but you don't. Name someone the world thinks is funny, but you don't. How are we doing? It's the same damn report. I don't know.
There are no more live reads.
Yeah. 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 It's light. I might throw in for Go Slim. Supposed to. 2 days a week. Which I don't mind doing them more than that. I'm not going to get paid for it, but I love them. They've worked. .806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Jake producing. We've got State Representative Paula Davis coming up in our next segment. Going to be talking with Paula about a number of different topics within the state legislature. Not the least of which is that $500 million being put aside for a new Mississippi River Bridge in Baton Rouge. It's run into a little bit of pushback. Some questions. Don't know if it's been full-on opposition just yet. But there are legislators that are saying it's not a good idea or not a best use of state dollars to have the money sit there. That being said, we've had a number of folks on to talk about why that's not just sitting there. You're amplifying what you're capable of doing with the money if you do it this way. State Representative Paula Davis at 8:15. Also this hour, Mary Fine from the American Heart Association. It's just about time for the Heart Walk. We'll be talking about that this hour as well. Right now, those are part of the show where we go back in time. Jake takes us back with this day in history. No.
Yes, sir. It is time for this day in history. We're kicking things off in 1775. Patrick Henry proclaims, quote, "Give me liberty or give me death," end quote, in speech in favor of Virginian troops joining the U.S. Revolutionary War.
Pastor Spell said the same thing 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah?
Not really.
How'd that
By the way, if you missed Legally Served with attorney Franz Borghardt, it's available on demand. It's also available via our YouTube channel, Mornings with Brian Haldane on YouTube. Go ahead and smash the subscribe button while you're there.
Let's go.
Too much?
No, that's
Okay.
just right for YouTube.
Okay.
1839, the first recorded use of OK.
Ah.
It was in Boston's Morning Post, and it was spelt all correct. O-L-L space K-O-R-R-E-C-T. All correct.
That's what OK stands for.
Apparently so.
So it should be AK. All isn't.
But they spelt it O-L-L.
That's weird.
Yeah, weird English. We're just different.
I just use a thumbs up emoji.
Yeah.
My daughter says okie dokie, which
say
I think is
okie dokie every now and
excessive.
I mean, when I was younger, I dropped the artichoke as well. But like,
It's just too much texting.
No, I dropped that a
Yeah.
while ago. But, you know.
So some people just use the two letters OK.
Yeah.
Some people spell it O-K-A-Y.
Yeah.
Some people just use K. And then some people go with the KK. And I don't understand that.
There's levels to it.
But if you're going to use KK, why wouldn't you just use OK? You're typing two letters. You could have saved yourself a whole letter.
Not really. I mean,
K.
I mean, if you just drop K, I mean,
K.
it depends on the context, honestly. There are levels to this. There are etiquettes to texting, believe it or not.
Thumbs up emoji.
Hey, that works.
It's my second most used emoji.
I mean, that's the all clear signal. What's the first?
Well, I'm sorry. Thumbs up emoji would be my third most used emoji.
Well, then you got to give us your top two.
Top two, number 2 on the list would be kissy face emoji.
Okay.
Texting my wife.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, or other people. I mean, it's not.
I don't kissy face anybody but my wife.
Well, I mean, that's not.
I'm not like
Hey,
no.
That's not my business.
No, it's that. No, that is the vows of marriage. You will not kissy face anybody else.
Did you put that in
till
the,
death do us part?
Yeah,
we kissy face only each other.
No, that's a crucial detail.
It
You
is.
gotta add those
It
in.
is. And it is. I believe that if you don't edit into your vows, the church will.
Are you even loyal at that point? Like,
No, if you're
don't add
kissy
that?
face emojiing somebody else, and I accidentally did it once.
Are you serious?
Oh my goodness, yes.
How long before she forgave you?
Well, do what?
How long before she forgave you?
We're just gonna say that hopefully she's at work right now and never found out. The number 1 emoji is cry laugh. I use it too much.
Well, I mean,
Cry laugh emoji I use a bit too much, and that was what I was going for. And I sent the kissy face emoji, and I'm like, oops, I'm sorry, Matt. I meant to send you cry laugh.
I'm sure he didn't mind.
Well, he kissy faced me back, so it got weird real fast.
Love that workplace relationship. 1901, Australian opera star Dame Nellie Melba reveals secret of her now famous toast.
Melba toast.
Yes.
What was the secret?
Well, I'm going to read out real quick what Melba toast is. It's a dry, crisp, and thinly sliced toast, often served with soup and salad or topped with either melted cheese or patty? Pate?
Pate.
Pate. That's what I thought. Yeah, there's a lot of accents on this
All right.
one.
If you're watching us on YouTube poll, let's go. Melba toast. The best part of Gardetto's or the worst part of Gardetto's? Go.
We'll keep in mind and see what the results show us. 1903, the Wright brothers first file a patent for a flying machine, which is granted 3 years later.
They should have just called it flying machine.
Yeah, it's just...
It's so vague, but then the helicopter would have had a problem, and Da Vinci invented that, so...
1922, the first airplane lands at the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. About 19 years later.
No,
after they
the first
filed
flying machine.
Yeah, we
Damn
just
it.
talked about...
We just went over it.
You gotta be kidding me. I'm sorry. 1929, the first telephone installed at the president's desk under the Hoover administration at the White House. 1945, the battle...
And Richard Nixon said, damn it.
Come on. 1945, the Battle of Okinawa. U.S. Navy ships bombed the Japanese island of Okinawa in preparation for the Allied invasion. It became the largest battle of the Pacific War in World War II.
Yep.
1983.
Also the home of Mr. Miyagi.
True. 1983, U.S.
Sato!
Banzai. Too soon. U.S. President Ronald Reagan introduced a Strategic Defense Initiative, also labeled as Star Wars.
Star Wars speech was today. That's right. I know.
Let's go. Doing some
very apropos with Putin out there right now.
Eesh.
We can fight off Russia in the skies.
1999, Livin' in Vida Loca, sung by Ricky Martin, released. Goes on to sell over 8 million copies.
You know what? Did you have the song ready?
No, I should have. Dang it.
Oh, what a great tune.
Such a bop. 2021. I mentioned this yesterday. It was the first ever tweet by Twitter founder Jack Dorsey. The quote, "Just setting up my Twitter," spelled TWTTR. Well, that happened, a long time ago. Today, just a year ago, it sold for $2.9 million in a digitally autographed version.
Like an NFT?
Yes, exactly like an NFT.
A non-fungible tweet.
Yeah, but like digitally autographed, like just like, with the mouse, it probably looked really
My
rough.
digital autograph, like if you're checking out at Walgreens or something
Yeah,
with
do
the
like
little
pen.
finger signature.
Yeah.
I propose, and maybe we could talk with State Representative Paula Davis about this in our next segment because she's big on education bills. I propose, in lieu of teaching penmanship in school, we should teach you how to sign for UPS. we should learn how to use our index finger to write our name.
Honestly, we got to update with the times.
No, I know.
Well, that's all the events. Let's get to the birthdays because we are going super long right now.
Yep.
Kyrie Irving turned
Oh, wait,
30.
2010. This day in 2010, the Affordable Care Act was signed. Obamacare is the thing.
Very nice. Kyrie Irving is 30.
Yep.
Randall Park turns 48. Gordon Hayward is 32. And Mavericks coach Jason Kidd is 49.
Yeah, Jason Kidd, good to have.
Got any birthdays for me?
Gino Auriemma, legendary UConn women's basketball coach. His birthday is today. Maurice Jones-Drew, his birthday is today, former running back. You said Perez Hilton?
I did not.
Okay, Perez Hilton is 44, and Shaka Khan.
Very nice.
Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan.
She's 69 years old.
Nice.
Yeah.
No deaths to talk about. We got 2 holidays.
Wait,
though.
no, we got one. It's former catcher Joe Garagiola. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yep.
2 holidays to talk about. It is National Puppy Day.
Shh, no. What? Because my kids want a puppy. We can't.
Yeah, it's National Puppy Day. Haldane,
I got to be the jerk.
Haldane family, if you're
Every
listening.
time it comes to... No, they're in
Haldane
school.
family, if you're listening, let
They're
them
in
know
school.
it's National Puppy Day. And finally, it is National Chip and Dip Day.
All right,
That is this day.
we got to take a quick break. State Representative Paula Davis joins us next. Can you make sure that's her, please? All right.
Hey, Paula, how are you? Doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. We just hit our break. We're going to be live in about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes.
Bro. Okay. Whoa. Galen is refuting the origins of okay. The Choctaw Indian Oki, or O-K-E-H, meaning it is so. Oh, I think we have a battle royale on our hands here. I think we need to do a little more research here.
You know, I'm in favor. I'm saying that was the first use of it. Oh, no. What? What happened?
Tiffany Summers. Tiffany Summers comments, "Give me freedom or give me a bus." What up, Rich?
Oh, good. Hey, bud, how you doing?
I'm great, brother.
Man, look. And you the man that. See, Denise Marcel's grandson got arrested for murder. Deshaun Marcel. That's what's all over Tiger Ranch. And I saw the...
I don't go on Tiger droppings.
No, I know I don't either, but it was for something else. But it has Sid Gotro, and it's got Deshaun Marcel and the whole bit.
No, I hadn't gotten on that. Dude, I've been so hip deep.
No, I get it.
No, in the tornado stuff.
I never go to Tiger Ranch either, and I just so happened because I went off on Ron Higgins, whatever. And
What did Ron do?
Coach, a journalist, of course. I remember when I was a journalist at LSU, sports director. Stovall put me in my place with that.
Yeah.
My point is, a journalist, Moki, at the end of the game, right?
Yeah.
I just want to, thank you and pledge for your effort.
Oh, yeah, he had that whole "you're a professional" thing. Was that him?
I went off on him. Went off. Dude, We criticize young people today for not trying and giving it their best. I remember some of the stupid shit I did when I was a sports director. If it wasn't for Brando and Inkster and Snyder helping me.
No, I like Ron a lot, but I took offense to that, too.
You know what I said? I said, look, dude, the days of wearing $40 suits and with a cigar hanging in your mouth and a derby with press on the front, typing up a story.
Right.
I said, look, people today don't want, that's what print media people do today. They no creativity, they rely on quotes. I don't need to see a quote. I can actually watch the video.
Well, and here's the thing, though. As a professional, you can still acknowledge another person who makes your job in life easier.
Not only that, you know what, Ron? You know what you should have done? Introduced yourself, mentor, help. Instead of getting on social media and criticizing, man.
I'm with you. I like Ron. I didn't realize that was him.
Find that story, man.
I'll look for it. I'll call. I know who to call. Oh, Casey Hicks. 817 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. All right, a lot going on out of the state legislature. Joining us to talk about as much of it as we can squeeze into 14 minutes is State Representative Paula Davis. Paula, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing well, Brian. Thank you for having me on. As I sit here with my puppy dog, who's 4, I think your family does need a puppy dog. I'm just
stop
saying.
it! Killing me.
I'm an advocate.
No, I am too. Here's the thing: 3 kids. Freshmen in high school, 4th grade, kindergarten. We are at extracurriculars all the time. My argument is we're not home to have a puppy dog.
Very true. But you know what? It's about multitasking, and a puppy dog teaches your kids responsibility. I know. Just think about it.
No, and the thing is, this is why I'm a total hypocrite. I had a dog my entire childhood. I had a dog growing up the whole time. There was never a time where I didn't have a dog. So,
and we have a Labradoodle, and Labradoodles are great, and they're easy, and they're very well disciplined.
Are they hypoallergenic? Or?
They are hypoallergenic.
Damn it. Okay.
Yeah,
You're not helping.
I know.
You're not helping.
I'm not. You know I won't help in that
situation. I know.
But anyway, yes, legislative session is in full swing. We've been in session for about a week and a half.
Yes. So.
A week and a half, and we already have, I think, House bills, over 850 House bills filed. And Senate bills filed, we have, I think, around 400. And, of course, that's going to increase because we have a 5 extra bill deadline coming up. And so each legislator gets a maximum of 5 extra bills to file for the session. So who knows how many bills we're going to have by the end of all of this. It's a pretty daunting task to go through all of these bills.
We need to reiterate, it's a maximum. It's not a requirement to put in 5 extra bills.
Correct.
Y'all
you don't
can
have
chill.
to file any, but the maximum is 5.
Absolutely. All right, some of the hotter topics rolling through this session. One that's been garnering a lot of questions lately, and it actually surprises me that it's starting to get pushback. Actually, no, it's not surprising me. This is the Charlie Brown kicking the football scenario. That
right.
$500 million. The governor wants to take $500 million as a set-aside for a new Mississippi River bridge through Baton Rouge. This is getting questions and pushback. No surprise from people outside of Baton Rouge. First of all, your take on it, and secondly, how far do you think this pushback is going to go?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. Of course, being in Baton Rouge and someone who has advocated for a new bridge and, updating our infrastructure needs here in the capital region, I am fully supportive of the $500 million going to the Baton Rouge bridge, a new bridge. However, I do understand the concerns that my colleagues have because $500 million is a lot of money, and we are everywhere across the state. We have needs, infrastructure needs. So I understand the pushback. I understand the pushback when they say, look, you don't even have an environmental study done. You don't have a location for this bridge. How long have you been talking about a bridge? And we still don't know where a bridge will go. I completely understand those scenarios and understand the need for updating water systems in small towns. And we have deferred maintenance needs, across this state. So I understand it. But, of course, I'm going to continue to advocate for keeping that money within a fund so that we can fund the Mississippi River Bridge when we are able to do so. Having that money in the pot also brings down federal dollars. And so that's the challenge for, the argument for taking that money away is that, will this come up again in the near future where we're going to have this pot of money that we can use for the new Mississippi River Bridge? Very interesting. I get emails all the time from constituents that, have alternate routes and different proposals, and I welcome those and encourage people to continue to do that. However, for me and my district, District 69, I'm in the heart of Baton Rouge. My constituents sit in traffic every day in and day out. and it's a waste of time. It's a waste of family time. I'm just a huge proponent of building a new bridge, but I wish that we would get a location sooner rather than later and get this up and running. Because, like I said, we have been talking about a new Mississippi River Bridge for years. Yeah,
and the money's not just going to sit there. It can be used to leverage other dollars against it, and $500 million does not get it done. It sounds like a lot of money, and yeah, I don't know why it's the state's responsibility to fix a local water system, but whatever, that's where we are. Right. It sounds like a lot of money, but it's still not enough to fund the whole bridge. If you put less aside, you're going to get even less in return because of it. So you're being statesmanly, and I told the same thing to Scott McKnight and Tanner McGee. I need you to fight. I need you to claw. I need you to pants somebody in the schoolyard to get this done.
No, I completely agree, and we will continue to do that. Speaker Pro Tem McGee has been an amazing advocate, as has Senator Ward, for a new Mississippi River Bridge, as well as infrastructure needs across the state, and they've gotten more dollars in the last 30 years than anyone has even attempted to do, and that's been amazing. So we absolutely have to have this money in place, but it is a struggle when you do have, especially these small towns that rely on state dollars for their water district needs or sewer needs or whatever their needs may be that the state pays for. It is a hard sell, and I completely understand that and feel for them. And we have to find ways, again, to be creative. And I think, actually, speaking of Representative McGee, Speaker Pro Tem McGee has a constitutional convention bill. And I think that could help and go in a long way to freeing up dollars. If we do have a constitutional convention and shift the way we, spend our money and budget and those sorts of things. So I think that if that were to occur, that could be another possible avenue to freeing up some dollars.
You mentioned the Constitutional Convention proposal by Tanner McGee, and State Representative Mark Wright has one out there as well. Am I wrong for getting a little bit excited that we could start to fix or rewrite something that's going on 50 years old and amended hundreds upon hundreds of times?
It is absolutely needed, and I have talked about the Constitutional Convention on this show many, many times, as you know. I am 100% for a Constitutional Convention. I think it is crazy the way we budget here in our state and the way our Constitution is crafted. We continue to have to dedicate funds because we currently have dedicated funds that cannot be shifted around. So I think it's needed. It is very exciting. I do think that we do have a great opportunity to pass something. I think that Speaker Schexnayder and President Cortez are supportive of the idea of a constitutional convention. The devil is always in the details, as you know. And that is always the bone of contention, is how do you elect delegates or how do you appoint delegates? That's always where we get hung up.
Well, that's we just saw it with the redistricting session, and now there's going to be a proposal to change how that's done as well. It's how do you protect your dollars is what it comes down to with a constitutional convention. If dollars are required to go to a certain spot, the person who's on the receiving end of those dollars is going to be dead set against the constitutional convention because Mama Pelican feeds baby pelicans on the state flag.
Exactly, with their little mouths open. And Speaker Pro Tem McGee's bill, his constitutional convention bill, is a limited constitutional convention. It only, the topics that can be discussed are, of course, the big ones, local government and how they're funded, revenues and finance, education. I think the MFP fund and higher education is in there. As we know, higher education is one of the issues that's always on the chopping block because of the way we budget. And the way our Constitution is structured, and then a few other ancillary things, public employees, etc. So his is a limited constitutional convention. I have not looked in depth at Representative Wright's constitutional convention bill, but I believe that he has had several in the past, and I know that they've gotten out of committee. But again, the devil's always in the details, and it comes down to when we get on the floor, and you have 105 of us all wanting our way or no way.
Yeah, exactly. I got a couple minutes left with State Representative Paula Davis. Paula, let's talk about a bill that caught my eye. Actually, I believe it's in your committee, HB 80 by Rick Edmonds. This would essentially give a 2% buffer on spending as it stands right now. When the Revenue Estimating Conference puts out their projections, we could spend up to all of that. Edmonds wants to knock that down by 2%. Is there any way, shape, or form where this is a bad idea?
No, I think it's a good idea, and actually, this has come up in the past, and it's actually not in my committee. It's probably in the House Appropriations Committee with Chairman Zerang.
It is in appropriations. That's right.
It is, and it will get out of committee. I have no doubt. Like I said, we've had several bills the past few years, just because of our budget deficits, and we always, spend every dollar that we have. That they have proposed this, and I do like the idea. So I think it's going to get out of the House Appropriations Committee. I honestly think it's going to get off of the House floor. Now, what happens in the Senate, who knows? But I do think it's a good idea.
It absolutely is. Also a good idea. Also, go ahead.
And it's something that we strive to do in our daily lives with our budget. Don't spend every dollar you have. Put some away for a rainy day. So it's the same concept.
Yes, yeah. Dave Ramsey, 1 to 4, right here on Talk 107.3 FM.
Exactly.
Speaking of bills that were good ideas in the past and continue to be, centralized sales tax collection. This one actually passed before and then failed at the polls. Is there any reason to think that it won't pass again?
I know that the speaker he was supposed to hear the bill yesterday in the House Ways and Means Committee. He deferred that. He's meeting with local governments. They are the ones with the biggest concern because they're afraid that they're not going to get their money back to them. And so it's just a reassuring that, this has not worked and doesn't work, and that we have to modernize our system if we want to be competitive with other states going forward in attracting business and keeping businesses and having businesses expand in Louisiana. So I think it's something that's absolutely necessary, and I think that if we get the local governments on board this time, most of them were, but you did have a few in the rural areas that did come out against it, and you also had the city of New Orleans come out against it. But it is those rural area votes that cost us that amendment. So I do think that it is viable, and I think that more discussions and more reassurance to the local government that this can work and will work, and you will only prosper from this new process. I know the Speaker and the President of the Senate are both committed to do that. Once that bill gets through the House and the Senate and is signed by the governor, it's then our job once again to educate our constituents on the benefits of this. Because constitutional amendments, and let's be honest, when things are on the ballot, they're very complicated. The language is complicated. It's usually in very legal, lawyerly terms that we go to the polls and say, what in the world is this? And a lot of times you see the word tax because it's a streamlining of taxes, and you just vote no. So it's going to be on us as legislators and on organizations such as Lobby and the Committee of 100 and those types of BRAC, the chambers, to educate the public even more on the benefits of what this could do for our state.
Yeah, because when it all comes down to it, and believe it or not, this is the third time the same argument has come up within this segment. Fiefdoms, protecting what's perceived to be yours. And in this case, they're not realizing how much things can grow exponentially if they do it this way via online sales.
Correct. And in this term, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You cannot think short term on this issue. You have to think long term and the benefits to your parish and to your municipalities that this would create.
She is State Representative Paula Davis, and as the as the session continues, hope you'll be around a good bit throughout.
Absolutely, I'll bring you donuts.
I greatly appreciate that. I mean, I'm at my goal weight, so I got a little room to run here. So,
okay, good deal. Next time I'll be in studio. I promise.
You always promise that. I love having you either way, phone or in person. Always appreciate the time, Paula. Thank you so much.
Have a great day, Brian. I appreciate it.
You do the same.
Okay,
coming up on CBS News here at Talk 107.3 FM after the break. Let's talk about the Heart Walk. Mary Fine is slated to join us next. Did I get out early? I got out early. Hey, Jay. Hey, how long would it take to grab a YouTube? Good. Coming your way in just a second. Thanks. .837 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Quick weather report after yesterday's storms. It's going to be gorgeous for the next week. Honestly, no more chance of rain until next week. Temps are going to be top out in the upper 60s today, lower 70s for the rest of this week, and just glorious in Baton Rouge moving forward. So, going to get to Trey Dunbar going to join us in just a second. I thought we had Mary on. No worries at all. We're ready to talk about the Heart Walk. The Heart Walk is coming up this weekend. Going to get to Trey in just a second. Hey, while we're talking about heart health, need to remind you about the folks over at Go Slim Nutrition. 763-9600 is the phone number, 763-9600. Look, if you want to drop a few pounds before summertime, and you can easily drop 20 between now and the first day of summer. Like at 2 per week, you're good to go. I lost 60 pounds last year with Go Slim. And not only is it about the weight loss, but it's about better overall health, better heart health. You see the effects of heart disease on our population, especially in Louisiana. Be on the path to a healthier you with Go Slim Nutrition. They have the bars, they have the shakes, they have the meals, but really it's about the accountability. It's about going in every Friday, stepping on that scale, and talking with Vicky or any member of her team about what you've done right, what you've got coming up, how to make the program work within your lifestyle. GEAUX, slimbr.com, or just swing by. They're on Blue Bonnet at Perkins. It's Go Slim Nutrition. All right, coming up this weekend is the Heart Walk. Trey Dunbar is here to talk about it. Trey, welcome aboard, sir. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Brian?
Doing very good. So, what do we need to know for this weekend?
Well, first off, the Heart Walk, we're going to be in person this year. It was virtual last year. As you said, the weather is going to be great. I'd love to take the opportunity to have everybody come out, really get some physical activity, and we know that's so important for health, both physical and mental. So it's really just a great opportunity. It's going to be a lot of activities for kids and a lot of interactive learning sessions as well. So 8:30 this Saturday, City Hall Plaza, downtown.
The Heart Walk's been around for a number of years, and it just continues to grow. I mean, the popularity of it is due in no small part to just how much heart disease and heart health affects South Louisiana.
Yeah, certainly. And, it's not only South Louisiana, it's nationwide. And what is interesting to me is the American Heart Association does a great job of thinking about those things that we can implement in our lives that are really going to make a difference. You think about it, it's about 1 in 4 adults in the U.S. sits for about 8 hours each day. And we know that, low level of physical activity increases the risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, and mortality. We know just replacing 30 minutes of that sedentary time a day is going to reduce the risk of mortality by 17%. So those are small things, just getting up and getting your heart rate going at a low level. Those are small things that can really pay off for individuals and certainly could help the health statistics of our state.
What kind of health statistics do we have for our state? I know we're always near the bottom of the list, but are we getting better?
I think we've only seen limited movement, in those major statistics, obesity, heart disease, those types of things. What I'd love to see us is if we could move into the middle of the pack, that would be a huge win. And the number of lives that would be impacted with that across the state of Louisiana would be substantial. We could really change the health of Louisiana. And my background is I'm the president of Children's Health, so I am especially interested in lifestyle changes that we can make that's really going to make a difference for future generations. So.
Trey Dunbar is our guest. So Trey, not only walking, but this is about raising some funds as well, which I'm looking at the website right now. It looks like you've got, I don't want to say a comfortable lead, but a pretty decent lead when it comes to individual fundraising right now. What are the goals here?
Yeah, well, I think that we are looking for a broad goal across, the Baton Rouge capital area of greater than $500,000. Okay, and we feel like we're getting close to that. So certainly the funds go to support so many valuable things that the American Heart Association does. Part of what I've learned as the Heart Walk chair is a lot of what the Heart Association does for food disparities. We know that eating well certainly impacts your health. I am aware of what the Heart Association does for research, not only in adults but in children. So the funds really go to support these efforts in our communities. So certainly appreciate anything that anybody can donate to further the American Heart Association. But if you can't, just get out there on Saturday, be with us. Let's walk. Let's make a difference in Baton Rouge's health.
How important is it to you that you were named as the chair this year? I mean, not just because of the role you play in real life, but just the overall impact.
I think it's huge for me personally. I think about where we are coming out of the pandemic and what the pandemic may have done to increase risks of heart disease and those types of things. We know sedentary lifestyle has increased, both in children and adults. So it's important for me to think about how can I do things outside of the hospital that's really going to improve the lives of our community and the health in our community. So that's what's been important to me about this.
I mean, you don't have to look far to find where it's affected your life personally, not just you or me, but I mean, my father died of a heart attack. It's the fourth one, actually, a decade ago. You don't ever have to look too far to find where it has affected your family. Like you said, not just South Louisiana, but everywhere. Getting that message home is just infinitely important. If folks want to just show up the morning of, can they register then?
Oh, yes. Yeah, they certainly can. And certainly the website is active and good to go, right up until. So, it's easy to do it electronically, too. So.
You care if we dive in for just a second about those research dollars and what the goals of those research dollars are? I mean, like how specific, like what it is you hope to use those dollars for?
Yeah, I think, again, the American Heart Association's agenda is pretty large. Some of the things that have been important to me is recently they have dedicated a lot of funding towards health determinants, social determinants of health, and how do you really impact those and make a difference in health outcomes. And I think that kind of shows a trend that the American Heart Association has looked for. I mean, if you think about Go Red for Women, another American Heart Association effort, really thinking about women and the differences in how heart disease may present in women, getting that word out there, prevention and early detection, I think is important and has saved lives.
It'll be a sea of red and white on Saturday. The website, one more time, is what?
It's capitalareaheartwalk.org.
Capitalareaheartwalk.org. The money is very much needed throughout, not just Louisiana, but all over the place. He is Trey Dunbar, the chairman of this year's walk, and as of right now, still leading the way individually. You know what, though? It's not just the individual donations. There's a number of teams and a number of companies that are sponsoring as well. Anybody need a shout-out this morning?
Certainly, Our Lady of the Lake Heart and Vascular Institute is behind the Heart Walk, Bernard Capital Partners, Ochsner Health Baton Rouge, and Care South. So companies that are really supporting the Heart Walk, and they're just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, this is a huge community-wide effort. There's so many that I couldn't even go into thanking everybody today.
He is Trey Dunbar. We always appreciate the time, sir. It's going to be a great weekend. Y'all are going to have a blast.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Thanks for hopping on board today.
Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. Got your money now coming your way in just a couple minutes. And, yeah, that's one of those ones that we love partnering with. It has grown in popularity year over year over year. And it becomes more and more important as you heard him talk about the sedentary lifestyle that we lead. How often are you just sitting at a desk? How often are you just staring at a computer screen? How often are you just chilling watching Netflix? Like, we do lead very sedentary lives. And you know what? Even if you're going to the gym, okay, that's what? A half hour, an hour out of your day? If you're sitting down for 8 solid hours, you're not undoing it with that half hour. If you're eating fried fish on a Friday, you're not undoing it with that half hour to an hour. It is about being very, very self-aware within it. And I appreciate Trey for hopping on board. Gonna be good stuff this weekend. We're not done yet. We got a lot more ground to cover here, and I don't know if I have time to get into it. I was hoping to budget enough time to get into it. I tell you what, let's go ahead and start this off now. The investigation at the state legislature into the cover-up of the death of Ronald Green continued yesterday at the state capitol. Wbrz, our news partners at Wbrz, had a number of stories, actually 3 different stories on the same hearings yesterday. The one that caught my eye was the headline from Chris Nakamoto, actually. Or Chris Nakamoto's in the story. I don't know if he wrote the headline. Second in command at state police refuses to answer lawmakers' questions, lies to them under oath. That's strong. That's a strong accusation. What does the story have to say? Dateline Baton Rouge. The second in command at Louisiana State Police lied to committee members under oath Tuesday as they were searching for the truth behind the cover-up of Ronald Green's death. During the hearing, Lieutenant Colonel Doug Kane was asked about another investigation involving Trooper August McKay. McKay was exposed by Wbrz's investigative unit in 2020 for calling his colleague the N-word, and state police did not discipline him for it. Kane called the Wbrz investigative unit on August 19th of 2020, asking that Wbrz not air the story. His request was clear and was heard by other members of the Wbrz investigative unit team. Kane asked if Wbrz had to do the story, that we didn't use McKay's picture because he was part of a federal drug task force. Wbrz did not comply. In fact, the investigative unit aired the story, showed McKay's photo, and mentioned that a top state police leader asked us not to do the story. During a grilling with committee members Tuesday, Kane lied about it. Quote, it was reported that you did not want him, meaning Nakamoto, to run a story on August McKay, correct? Representative Edmund Jordan asked Kane. That's inaccurate, Kane responded. It was reported, but it was inaccurate. During the hearing, Kane was told repeatedly to tell the truth. Quote, if we trusted you, we wouldn't be here right now, said Chairman Tanner McGee. What became very clear to me in reading this story and a few of the other ones that were out there, this state police thing is nowhere near done and is going to get much, much worse before it gets better. I was hesitant to put any faith at all into what was going to go on in a committee room at the state capitol when it involved the state police. My level of confidence in this investigation and this committee went up tenfold yesterday. Oh, we got a break for your money. See, that's why I didn't want to open it now. Here's your money now. Did Steve Denise Marcel's son get arrested for murder? Galen says they're the best part of Gardetto's, the Melba toast. I'm right. The Melba toast is the dark brown toast, right? Because Gardetto's is just like bad breadsticks, small pretzels, and Melba toast. It's got kind of a garlicky taste to it, though.
I'm real with you, Chief. I'd never heard of Melba toast until literally today.
Really?
Yeah.
But you've had it. If you've ever had Chex Mix, you've had it.
Really?
That's the Melba toast.
Well, it's fire.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part of the Chex
It's the best part of the Gardettos. Best part of the, well, it's not the best part of the Chex Mix. Chex is the best part of the Chex Mix.
That's my least favorite part, actually.
Really?
Yeah. You and me could share a bag.
You get a little bit of sweetness from the rice. Galen says the actions of the state police second in command, Lieutenant Colonel Doug Kane, should result in immediate termination. Why stop there? Oh, shit. .856 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, one segment to go. The plan in this segment was to recap the tornadoes in Araby, Gretna, and Slidell as one fatality has been reported. And as the sun has gone up this morning, as the light has literally shone upon the damage, the destruction in New Orleans East and it's St. Bernard Parish. I haven't seen a whole lot out of St. Tammany yet, but the destruction in the parish is just, it's ridiculous, and it stops me in my tracks. Meanwhile, I'm working on another story that I don't have enough to run with yet. Okay, no, gonna have to put a button on that. Yeah, so I'll have that tomorrow. I almost have enough for breaking news, but do not. All right. Yeah, what we went through yesterday here in Baton Rouge was a whole lot of waiting as the day wore on. We knew there was a nasty squall line and nasty weather conditions ahead of a squall line as a cold front ran from, it started in Texas on Monday night and then made its way west, or east, I should say. And this was a huge system as well. I mean, it literally, it spanned the entire width of the nation, top to bottom, width or length. I mean, from the Gulf all the way up to Canada. And at the top of this thing, it looked like, well, honestly, it looked like an outline of Grimace because it was purple. But it was everything from hail to possible snowfall to tornadic activity. And it like ran across the entire nation like running a squeegee across a windshield. 17 tornadoes touched down in Texas, and then nothing happened until it got to New Orleans East and East St. Tammany Parish. Like, we dodged a very serious bullet yesterday. This isn't like hurricane season where an entire system can jog to the east or jog to the west and it misses you. This was, we got the system and it still missed us. Damage-wise, that is. I mean, really, really remarkable that more people weren't hurt. We had one fatality reported in New Orleans East, and it's really, in Araby, and it's really miraculous that it wasn't more. And as the day wore on, and me and Kevin Ford did coverage just like we do coverage during hurricane season. We were in here at noon as everybody got out early. Everybody went home from work or went home from school, early dismissal and what have you. And as everybody went home, basically the 12 o'clock hour, the lunch hour, was essentially your new afternoon drive. Streets of Baton Rouge were all but empty, or they looked like a Sunday morning was the reference I made, at about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the skies opened up at 3, and then by 5, the sun was back, or 5:30, the sun was back out again. I don't know how he skirted this thing. But as you see more damage in St. Bernard Parish, just know that there, but for the grace of God, we got lucky yesterday, y'all. Fox News Rundown is next, followed by Brian Kilmeade. All right, YouTube, thank you for sticking around. Let me just give you the ins and the outs of this without opening up all of Pandora's box for what's to come. There is a state representative who I'm not comfortable naming yet, whose nephew was arrested for attempted second-degree murder last night. It's floating around message boards right now that it was her son and arrested for second-degree murder. That's close to the story. The actual story is nephew and attempted second-degree murder, a domestic assault case or domestic abuse case. This is going to break later on today. I would look for Wbrz to probably have it first, just because that's the nature of things. I will caution with this, and the reason I'm not giving a whole lot of detail is I don't have a whole lot of confirmation just yet, and the only all I can do right now is text. I can't get on the phone because of the show. So, any Hoosers, be on the lookout for that. It's probably going to be in top stories and trending tomorrow morning. I'm probably not going to make a huge deal about it, except just to report on it and not try to extrapolate anything else from it. But be on the lookout for it. Big story coming your way later on today. We'll see you.